Virtual courses from all around the world. And when the weather is great, well, of course, you can golf a full 18 or a quick 9 after work. 402-498-0220, Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone.
Aldama gives for Jackson to Bain. Back to Jackson. Open three. Ring it up. Put 3 on the board. Jared Jackson now has 16. He was 0 for 3 in the first half. He is now 4 for 9, so 4 for 6 here in the second half of play.
It's over. For the first time in a decade, the Knicks are moving on to the second round. Final score in Game 5, the Knicks 106, the Cavaliers 95. Knicks fans, you've waited a long time. Celebrate. Honk your horns. It's happening. Knicks are moving on in the playoffs.
Goes out the center screen. Jimmy didn't need it. Got cut off by Holiday. Spins, fires along 2. He got nothing but net. It's 42 for Jimmy Buckets mid-range. Just beneath the right wing.
Curry breaks it in. 12 to shoot. Stumbles outside. Takes it down the lane. In traffic, spins it back, gets to the paint, goes up and lays it up and in with 22.4 to go. Golden State leads by 7 and Sacramento is a foul as well.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
All right, I've come around. Playoff Jimmy and the Heat are a threat.
I thought of that when yeah.
So here is the...
Imagine Milwaukee sports radio today. Where do you start?
I would start
Did you see that Aaron Rodgers presser?
I would start with you have an incredibly humble and thought-provoking superstar in Giannis.
Yeah.
Jimmy grabbed the audio of his post-game when they asked him if the season is a failure.
Right.
Because we'll talk about that a little bit later. But so this is the balance of that's your team playing in a closeout game and you're tired. So halftime, I thought, okay, is this my jumping off point? I'll get up early in the morning and I'll watch the second half. And then because, Milwaukee looked like they had settled in and it felt like they were going to start to pull away, and I was already preparing for Game 6. And then I was like, okay, how much longer? Then the Heat come back and almost immediately to begin the third quarter, tie the game. And I'm like, going to have to sacrifice some sleep.
Yep.
I went from of course, as you guys heard the other day, okay, I still don't know how they're doing this, to man, they're shooting better than they've shot all season long. They've grabbed consistency, and they got the friggin' man, playoff Jimmy, who, if you have him, you always know your roster. You have a Vincent and a Martin that are contributing, but I'm not complaining anymore. And now I believe, and I can't wait for the Knicks series, which also is probably a little surprise to some people, that they are into the semifinals this soon.
Gabe Vincent. How about that guy? Yeah, the playoff Jimmy thing, and I know he was asked about it in the victory before, and he just kind of scoffs at it, laughs. He's like, "It's not a thing." But good Lord, man, it's amazing, and for people, and I'm one of them. Get a chance to watch Jimmy Butler night in and night out with Miami, but we've grown accustomed to watching him in the postseason. You develop that identity, that label for a reason, but you're playing that to a T, and it just seemed like you're down 16. Okay, again, like I said, the last Miami victory, where not that this is crossing the players' minds, but you understand what you're up against. You still have a solid team led by Giannis, and they're not just gonna kind of lie down for you. I mean, there's a reason that they are where they are, and it just doesn't matter. And it's kind of I was talking about the team I'm rooting for in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and because of Connor McDavid and not getting enough credit, and just kind of a fun team to watch. I don't know if anybody that is just a diehard NBA fan, but just a sports fan, if you're looking to sort of embrace the team, but you kind of look at it. I mentioned what Gabe Vincent did last night too. You're looking at some guys around Jimmy Butler, but then we kind of gravitate to superstars, and not even as superstars to the level of like your mainstay superstars like LeBron, like Steph, but to see Jimmy Butler, what he's known to do in the playoffs, and single-handedly doing it in these type of circumstances, and now taking them to the next round of the playoffs, where I think it's okay to entertain the idea that they're a threat. When you've got a team around a guy that is playing up to that caliber, playing up to that identity that is sometimes used sort of in jest, and now you're seeing role players kind of play around him too. Oh yeah, that's something that's definitely something to pay attention
to.
He's
a G. He's a G, and this time of the year, and he's carried him. I mean, I was really surprised at how poor Milwaukee has played.
That's two big fourth quarter leads blown.
I was really, really surprised. Whether you have Jimmy Butler or you have Pat Riley or you have Spoelstra, then you have the Billy Facilio watching the game courtside. Milwaukee played poorly, and
10 of 23 at the foul line.
And they opened the door, and Jimmy Butler stepped through and won, and now we're off to the playoffs. Jimmy Butler is also a guy who probably, if you ask in Minnesota and Chicago, they have differing opinions on him. And I actually did when he first came to Miami, because I thought, okay, all you've heard about is what he just did at Minnesota and practice and all that kind of stuff. But he fits well with, they always say, like a Heat culture, like a culture that is built where you can plug and play superstars and they're not bigger than the team. And now that has a lot to do with Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley. And I think that's why they were able to contain LeBron James after his first year, when this isn't Cleveland. And, there's a guy named Dwayne Wade that's on this roster as well. But Jimmy Butler strikes me as you watch the NBA, and last night, Golden State went up 3-2 on Sacramento.
That's over.
I do believe so as well. But you look at like the NBA and guys now, and everything turns into a 3-point shooting contest. I had to turn off the Grizz and the Lakers yesterday, because it just drives me nuts when people drive down the floor and they have everybody beat. They have an easy layup, and what do? They kick it out and they shoot a three. So the NBA has become a 3-point shooting league. But a guy like Jimmy Butler,
speaking to my heart,
Jimmy Butler, the way he plays the game, he's a guy that, in my opinion, he could have played in the 80s. He could have played in the 90s. There's not a lot of those guys that are playing in the league right now on that tier that I could say they could play in the 80s and the 90s. But Jimmy Butler has a game that'll do it. And now it's the Knicks and the Heat on Sunday at noon
on
it's
NBC.
It's like the old days.
Right.
They should do the round ball rock.
They should have a ceremonial first fight before the game. Like, just bring back some old friends and get in a fight. Have Van Gundy get on someone's leg, and great.
Yeah, like I'm I'm legitimately compelled about this Miami team, and not because I know it's a rooting interest for you too, but it's again, as a casual sports fan, it's hard not to appreciate that. And the team that they're playing too. I know there was a time, and really when I was growing up in my formative years of watching NBA basketball, of the Knicks sort of kind of being the villain, the big boys and stuff. And then, I get it. There was the bad boy Pistons, but the Knicks kind of being that team. They were always in the playoffs, and you just kind of expected that. But I think for so long now, it's you've looked at that organization, you've looked at how it's mismanaged, you look at Dolan, you've looked at all of the things surrounding them that's kept them from actually contending or even getting to the playoffs. And it's kind of a different team. It's sort of a likable team. It's a team that you can embrace a little bit too. And you got this Miami team as well that is bringing the same thing. So that matchup alone is going to be a lot of fun. As far as I think maybe a little bit of bandwagoning for the postseason. And you know what? I always appreciate Jimmy Butler in Chicago. So it's a little bit more. I would put a little bit more of my rooting interest towards Miami and what Jimmy's doing, because he looks like he is, he's 10 years younger again. It's fun to see.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in on a Thursday. If you fan of the Dubs or the Kings or anybody else, this is the time of the year where you got to get a grandpa nap during the day because you're going to stay up late and you're going to watch the team play. And especially if any NBA games are on TNT, the later the night goes, the better inside the NBA gets.
Yep.
So welcome in, everybody. There's a lot to discuss. Your portal boredom is ended. It will continue again today with Nebraska football, who had maybe an interesting one or two that jumped into the portal. We'll discuss that throughout the morning. Steve Sipple is going to join us today. Also, Brian Edwards will stop by. His Atlanta Hawks are still alive thanks to Trae Young. And they now have – wouldn't that be something, by the way? Because last night, the Boston Bruins got beat on home ice. So the Panthers have forced a Game 6 back down in Sunrise. The Celtics were up 3-1, chance to close it out. Now they're going back to Atlanta. They bumped Janet Jackson off the stage at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, which I didn't know she was out touring.
I did not either.
I don't know that I'd go see Janet Jackson today. Maybe like 20 years ago, I would consider going to see Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
But I didn't know she was touring.
I had no idea until Trae Young made mention of it.
So Trae Young ruined all the fans in Atlanta that were going to go see Janet Jackson. Wouldn't that be wild if both of the teams that are kind of considered a possibility to win a championship in their respective sports, if the Boston Celtics and the Boston Bruins blew both a 3-1 lead?
Again,
would Paul Revere come back?
A city
I would take over Boston.
A city I would not want to be around.
And have Belichick do something or some sort of fallout with the draft and the Patriots.
And this is the thing with hockey, and I don't mean to, remind people, or especially our very faithful listener and Steve, the Boston Bruins fan. But when you have those historical regular seasons, we've seen, the 95-96 Red Wings, the 18-19 Lightning, where they got swept in the first round. You have these amazing regular season runs, setting point total records, setting win records, and none of them made it out of the conference finals. So, the hockey element of it is surprising because Boston is very, very good. It's not crazy to think, but yeah, now all of a sudden, Atlanta at one point, they were toast.
What do you just say about the Bucks? Open the door.
Yep.
The Celtics open the door to let the Hawks back in. The Bruins are opening the door just slightly.
I have no fear, especially, the Panthers won in overtime last night, and they've won 2 games in Boston. I
expect the Bruins to win in 6.
Yeah, and I also expect the Celtics to win in 6 , but that would
both
blowing leads.
I would put more money on Boston, on the Celtics.
Yes,
to
Boston.
Get it done.
Boston will get it done.
Just because hockey, again, you could be such a dominant team, and you could you still have some sloppy play, and it'll hurt you.
Also, last night, not a good night at Haymarket Park. Cal Anderson on Tuesday, much better than Haymarket Park. I'm trying to – so these have become kind of the norm a little bit in the midweek for Nebraska baseball. So they got beat by South Dakota State last night. They left – I think everybody that came to the ballpark got left on base. And they lost 8-3. First time at South Dakota State, who is actually playing pretty well.
One of the better teams of the Summit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not at Oral
yeah.
Roberts, but they're up there.
But they win at Lincoln for the first time since 71. They beat Nebraska for the first time since 1971, but so the fallout, especially the night before, coming off a sweep at Iowa and you beat Omaha, and then you have South Dakota State. And I think we've alluded to during the week of, hey, South Dakota State's playing pretty well. The weather has changed. They're playing more at home, so they're been able to pick up some victories and some traction. And then last night happens where, unlike the night before, where Omaha didn't get off to a good start, South Dakota State was up 4-0 before he had a chance to blink.
Yep.
The game's on statewide TV, and those aren't just like flukes anymore. Those almost seem to be the norm with this team when it comes to the midweek. So I was debating as I was watching social media explode last night, thinking, okay, this is kind of has the more feel of a norm than a fluke anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the lack of consistency with this team. But I was like, how should we react to that game last night? Because I struggle with it because I'm already on, and I know I was wrong last weekend when I said they're the best in the Big Ten. On the weekend, they're a different team. But the only way they get to the NCAA tournament, and I thought this prior to even last weekend, they've got to run through Omaha. So I don't know. That was probably almost to be expected last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they played about as a complete midweek game, really going back to the Kansas State victory, which was like 3 weeks ago against Omaha. They did that. And so how the hell could you expect them to, not you, but anyone, if you've watched this team, expect them to duplicate that on Wednesday?
And a midweek guy from a mid-major program that shows up and all of a sudden they look like Cy Young's grandson.
Right. Oh, it's frustrating. And I'm not trying to excuse it and say, hey, anybody who is overly critical or panicking, you need to pay more attention. I'm not saying that, but if you've watched this team enough, I think what we're getting at is it was to be expected. And that's not a great thing to have, but I look at it more as individuals right now. I look at it, I was disappointed with Jackson Brockett, a guy that I have a lot of praise for. I think what he did a year ago in the situations that he was brought into, he showed you a lot of toughness. He showed you some stones. And I think between the mentality and developing the college baseball pitching mentality to, being able to put yourself into a reliable option for Jeff Christie, that was always going to be the next process. And he floundered yesterday. Look, they can't be Supermen every night, but, Max and Bryce 0 for 9, 3 strikeouts. Okay. Against pitching like that, you need those guys to anchor your offense. You mentioned the amount of people left on base. Anytime you get above, in my opinion, 6, unless it's one of those really crazy games, that's a problem given that your identity is the offense and you leave 12 men on base. So, yeah, individually, and again, the guys I'm kind of picking out from last night have actually provided Nebraska some really solid moments, both weekday and weekends. Yep. Obviously, Bryce and Max have done that, but even Jackson Brockett. But this is where I kind of look at, okay, what was more disappointing, the overall play, the non-competitive at-bats, especially with runners on base, or you look at certain guys that were trending in a good direction, and all of a sudden against the South Dakota State team, mind you, a decent Summit League team, but a team that if you are going to be a legitimate team to make a run through your conference tournament, you got to figure out a way to at least outslug them. Maybe the pitching's going to be a little bit rocky, especially with 2 midweek games and trying to set up yourself for the weekend. But offensively, that was so disappointing. That's where last night probably stood out, in my opinion, compared to some of the other ones, is it was very reminiscent of last year where you had no problem getting guys on base, but it was in those moments, those competitive at-bats where they just missed.
So the midweek mess goes 1-1 this week with Nebraska baseball. Just really, really flat performance against a team that gets fired up to play.
And Will was pissed.
Will
was very pissed.
We're trending here, though. That's 2 times that he's used terrible and abysmal in the last 4 games.
Mm-hmm. That shows
Minnesota comes to town this weekend.
Yep.
I think baseball happens. I think Forrest Gump put that on a shirt one time. You're going to have, ups and downs, but just the performances, like I didn't think Nebraska was competitive in Iowa City. And last night they were just extremely flat.
Yeah.
Just like no juice
we have to play today?
After a night before where you won a very competitive game where you were dialed in 1 through 9.
Yeah, they were. And you would have thought if you kind of gauged their temperature before the game, you would have thought that they won the series against Iowa. Like they were loose, they were excited to play. They didn't seem timid. And then I don't get that you're playing at home last night in front of almost 5,000 people on a gorgeous night, and you're not there. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that Will expects that out of his guys every night. And this is the competitor that Will is, and Darren was the same way. But Will likes to challenge those guys verbally. And I think when he feels that message is not getting received, he gets, I don't want to say he takes it personal, but he gets pretty frustrated with that. We saw a lot of that last year. And now, as you mentioned, not only against Iowa in that series, but also then last night, being pretty critical of the effort, which is something that I don't think he would ever accept.
And as you hit the home stretch, they're 1-4 in the last 5. Channel 3, Sean. Tweets into the show. Lots of guys on the mound and at the plate riding the struggle bus. Brockett, Englund, 2 that come to mind. Yeah, Brockett, I agree with you, Nick. I was surprised by that because it sends off the warning bells of when you get a month from now and you're playing here for your postseason life, like who can you rely on?
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, they got the home stretch to figure that out. But Nebraska baseball falls last night to South Dakota State 8-3. So SIP coming up. We got Brian Edwards. Sarah Baker Hansen is back this week, coming up at 8. And because it is a Thursday, and it is also the NFL draft. I can't believe we didn't lead with that, but
that's the night.
It's kind of been that way, though.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's picked up.
I think we just have a lot on our plate.
Well, we got Aaron Rodgers out of the way now, so we can talk about the NFL draft.
Hello, Lamar.
And we got Portland here locally and nationally.
Yes, this is a loaded show. Also, your chance to win a gift card from Oscar's Pizza and Grill. All you have to do is submit a question into Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. Anything goes, any question you can ask, we will answer. We'll do all of that. We roll till 10. When we come back, we will talk about the NFL draft because there are a lot of you that are going to Kansas City this weekend to go see the draft in person.
Get you some ribs.
And it will continue a streak around here. It hasn't been since 2011. When Prince Mukamura heard his name, and Nebraska football has had a first-round guy.
God dang, that's a long time.
2011. Just pause for a moment. Because then the year before, you had a first-round guy who was actually the second pick overall in Sioux. And then you had Carricker went in the first round. You want me to go on? Fabian went in the first round when the Raiders picked him up.
It's been a while. Over a decade.
And one for sure will be drafted off Nebraska's roster. Could there be a late day Saturday guy? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't this be a perfect way to like cap off this era of Nebraska football when it pertains to the draft? The Nebraska gets Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, that'd be good.
like a Mathis becomes Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Or even somebody sees something in Garrett Nelson.
I was going to say
Garrett
Nelson
pick.
too.
But it would make
it'd be poetic.
Yeah, it'd be perfect sense for Nebraska to have Mr. Irrelevant this year, O'Shawn Mathis.
But if they could follow the Brock Purdy path to success, then you don't hate that.
More on the draft coming up. Crazy stat if you are the Houston Texans drafting tonight. All of that and much more to come. The whole gang is assembled. Nick, Jimmy, and Gary. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the CUES Fund Board, which supports the CUES school system. To learn more, go to CUES Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
It's joy. You want to be having fun what you're doing. If you're not enjoying it, then it's time to do something else. And I think the opportunity to work with Nathaniel again, to work with Robert, to be around Joe, to be around the Johnsons and the vision they have for the team. I think the excitement of a new chapter has really been fueling my off-season workout so far, and just the overall excitement level. It's exciting. The Jets have an incredible, passionate fan base. I saw that last year at Lambeau. Obviously, about Fireman Ed and his passion for the team. I think that's an exciting draw to this as well, as being a part of something special. I grew up watching old VHS tapes of the Super Bowls. And so obviously I know about the guarantee and Broadway Joe. Been a while since then. I noticed walking in this morning that Super Bowl III trophy is looking a little lonely. So,
But does he know about Richard Todd, Kenny O'Brien?
I don't know. Guy can't help himself.
Brownie Nagel?
If you listen to the whole thing, it's tit for tat. I mean, I'm glad the Packers are like, all right, we're not going to address this FaceTime controversy. We're going to move on. Hey, we wish you well. We're moving on. Aaron Rodgers can't help himself, and he'll continue to be that way.
Yeah.
They're like good riddance, dude.
Good for the Jets fans. They got some hope. He's gonna be placed as the savior.
Yeah.
He's going to be 40 during the course of the season. He is who he is.
Google the New York Sack Exchange, Aaron.
No mention of Mark Gastineau, which I was kind of pissed off too. You mentioned O'Brien, but
they were good.
Yeah, well, Packers have moved on. Now they might, reminisce in November and go, I wonder where Aaron gets his bagels. Not just living in the city.
Bagel.
But he can't help himself. All right, it is draft day, but
he's in the perfect market then.
Yeah, I think
have fun.
Well, see, I think he'll be able to handle that media well.
Oh, I think he will too. I'm saying for the media guys, they're like, yes,
he can handle it, but his antics too. It'll be a little bit. I feel like he was.
Oh, he's on a honeymoon. Was he asked about 9/11, his conspiracy yesterday, or COVID, or anything like that? Yeah. I mean, he's in a honeymoon.
And that's the other.
Aaron,
thing.
what do you think about the Knicks and Heat?
I feel like there was probably a lot of catering around A-Raj when it came to the local Green Bay media because of who he was. That's not to say like guys like Rob Domofsky and people who have covered him for a long time wouldn't ask the critical question, but you'll get a lot of that in New York, especially once they feel like, if I should say, things aren't where they were supposed to be when it comes to those expectations. But we'll see.
Before I give you this incredible stat about bus in the NFL draft, which is beginning tonight in Kansas City, no tipping of picks. The NFL looks down on all you people on Reddit that tip the picks before Schefter and the other insiders tip their picks.
Shams.
I didn't see there's a collaboration. What ESPN and the NFL Network are working together.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a behemoth. This event has grown out of a ballroom in a hotel to over the course of the weekend in Kansas City. There's going to be 300,000 people that'll make their way through the whole NFL draft experience.
Yeah, you're creating a little town within a city.
Remember Saturday morning at 11 a.m.? Oh, that was simple times. Not that long ago.
Remember when it wasn't 3 days and we didn't spend year round talking about the draft and the business of the Mel Kipers didn't exist. And now the Mel Kipers and then the really, really good people like a Warren Sharp and a Matt Miller have turned it into a cottage industry.
Oh, and it's a year-round thing.
It's the NFL marketing arm that has turned this into this gigantic thing. But before we talk about the draft, let's just check the pulse of, shall we say, Husker Nation. So should we recap yesterday? So Hunter Salas goes to Wake Forest.
Yep.
So Nebraska's
Good call, by the way.
0 for 4 on their point guard. Thank you. On their point guard prospects. Nebraska football has a couple guys going to the portal, but really nothing yesterday. They'll have a trio of guys probably today that'll go into the portal. And then Nebraska baseball loses to South Dakota State last night, 8-3. So let's just check the pulse, shall we? In the Equitable Bank inbox, the Lego Maniac, Nebraska baseball still sucks. Nebraska basketball can't bring in top-level players, so they will likely suck next season. The jury is still out on Nebraska football for next season. Now, I will tell you, I like the Lego Maniac. We've interacted for a long time. Yesterday, he was in a much better mood. I'm telling you, he was more optimistic yesterday. Wow. Just in 24 hours. I can't believe it. So,
I can relate to the Lego Maniac.
This is from...
Hope he's not a Bucks fan either.
This is from Steve, and this is a question that either you just slam your head into the wall, you go, man, this can't happen. How did this happen? Or you're like, well, this is so Nebraska. Steve tweets at me, Gary Sharp 1620. Simple question. How did the previous AD get every one of his coaching hires wrong? Football fail, basketball fail, now baseball. Incredible. Well, he was told to go hire Scott Frost. He did. So Bill Moose's work was done there. Now, could he have done some things in the relationship and maybe helped each other?
Yes.
Probably not. He could have. He could have, but
he wasn't going to, though.
Yeah. Then in basketball, it was, you got Fred Hoiberg.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of this is on, not really on Moose, it's on the guys in the job. Now, the thing with baseball, Bill Moose kicked the tires on Pat Casey. A lot of people went to bat for Will Bolt. He got to meet Will Bolt for the first time and fell in love with him. And we all thought, here's the great opportunity. And, of those guys, Will has won a regular season championship. But the last 2 years have turned up the pressure on Will Bolt. So, Moose went and did what, at the time, everybody went, or I would say the majority, I won't say everybody, because there were people that were doubtful on Frost, doubtful on Hoiberg, doubtful on Bolt. But across the board, you would say the majority said, great Moose, great job, you hired him, man, you got this thing rolling.
Well, and don't
then
forget
he thought he could just step away and not like permanently into retirement, but, on his weekends, he would be able to step away and these programs would run as well as they could.
Well, there was a little bit of the Darren element too when Darren decided to walk away, and they had a much better year in 2019 than they did 2018. 2018 was awful. That I think there was a lot of respect on Bill Moose's part for Darren Erstad, and Erstad, paraphrasing basically when he talked to Bill Moose about this, is if you're looking for a guy, you could do a lot worse than Will Bolt. So there was a recommendation of Will Bolt from the guy that was leaving, that there was a lot of respect towards Darren Erstad. So that was part of it too.
All right, now on to the draft, because it is NFL draft night. If you have a pick, you're excited, you go early. I go late. Trying to figure out if I'm going to trade up. But, we've all looked at mock drafts.
They might move back a little bit.
Everybody's got a mock draft. Such and such, C.J. Stroud is mocked to. That usually triggers people. You don't say that. But this whole separate thing of the NFL is mammoth.
Yeah.
But there are like some crazy stats about busts. So, you could talk about the all-time, the busts along the way of, certain quarterbacks.
Jamarcus Russell's always
Jamarcus
the most famous one.
Jamarcus Russell probably is the number one biggest bust in the history of the NFL draft.
Yeah, right next to Ryan Leaf.
ironically quarterbacks who were put. There's a reason why you're being drafted number 1 as a quarterback. That team's really, really bad.
Yep.
So good luck. But the first pick overall has a better chance than the second pick overall. You're saying, hello, Captain Obvious. So, you're a big NASCAR guy. Dale Earnhardt used to say second place is the first loser.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the NFL draft, it is true. So since 1997, that's 25 years, and we don't include this past year. So the no 22 draft. 56% of the number 2 overall picks have been busts. You've got to be in at least 1 All-Pro season or 2 Super Bowls.
Hey, Mitchell Trubisky was in a Pro Bowl.
Considered not a bust.
One.
Think about thank God Mahomes would have been a bust in the NFL if he would have gone number 2.
If the Bears said,
So number 1 has a 36% bust rate over 25 years. Number 3 and 4, 44% bust rates. Number 5 is just a 36% bust rate. But if you are picked second overall, so the Texans right now hold that pick. Some are thinking they will go quarterback. Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech, is definitely a possibility and would look like a perfect fit for DeMeco Ryans' defense. You do not want to be picking number 2. You do not want to have Mitch Trubisky, Luke Jokel, RG3, Jason Smith, or Robert Gallery that you are picking.
Wow.
So good luck, Houston.
Zach Wilson.
There's all kinds of like stats that are true, that are trends about the draft.
Yeah.
Don't draft a wide receiver in the opening round, because more than likely they're not going to live up to expectations. But if you go and get a receiver in the second round, that person, percentage-wise, in this bust chart, has a better chance of being successful. But this year, there could be a run on some wide receivers from Ohio State to TCU to Boston College that could all go in the first round. And we all look at them now and go, man, that can't miss guy.
Right.
But the NFL draft will tell you that the first round wide receiver, not good. Thank you, Sky Moore.
Well, and it's actually, if you look at I got it all the way back to 1999. If you look at the second pick in the first round, again, like the first rounders of the bus, a lot of this is quarterbacks. So you got Aiden Hutchinson last year, Zach Wilson. I'll just go by the quarterbacks here. So you got Zach Wilson, Mitchell Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, Robert Griffin. Let's see. Then you got to go all the way to Donovan McNabb in 1999. But then when you throw in some of the defensive players, okay, I mentioned Aiden Hutchinson, Chase Young. He's not a defensive player, but Saquon Barkley, I think we could say, has been successful. You mentioned Luke Jokel, Greg Robinson, Von Miller, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Smith, Chris Long, Calvin Johnson, Reggie Bush, Ronnie Brown, Charles Rogers, Julius Peppers, LeVar Arrington. So it's funny. It's almost like if you are a second-round pick on the offensive side, saying Saquon Barkley, the percentages are not in your favor. It's the offensive players that are holding that percentage down. The defensive players actually fared very well in their NFL careers, and even some of the younger guys right now seem to be trending or on that trajectory of having a pretty successful NFL career.
So that is the draft. We'll discuss our favorite pick. All of us will take your pick. Jimmy, you got your Cowboy pick. You got your Bears pick.
My expectations very low, as always.
I saw a mock where they moved back down, where the Bears moved from 9 to 12, getting some more draft cappy, which I would not be upset about.
But at some point, you have to draft a guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We'll
eventually.
Well, I'll make my selection.
So I don't think you should. I think if Peter Skoransky of Northwestern's there, I would grab him at 9.
And he is in the CBS mock of them moving back to 12 and still getting Peter Skoransky.
Now, see, that would be
huge,
awesome. Another huge win for the Bears in the offseason.
Yep.
Because I think Skoransky with the Bears could start at tackle or guard.
Yep.
You walk in the door, and he's going to be playing the first week. Are you, Jimmy? Are you offensive guy tonight?
Yes. You got to get some more firepower. You got to do something.
You got to bail out Dak.
Yeah.
What
You
was
have to.
the
defense
Manziel
is
year?
pretty good. Manziel was 2013.
Okay.
10 years ago.
That was one of the most boring yet productive drafts I think you guys have ever had because you resisted the shiny toy.
Which is
Stephen
un-Jerry-like.
Jones was the voice of reason and said, "No, Jerry, no, Dad, we're not going after Johnny Manziel. Let's get some boring offensive linemen." And remember that line?
I like
assembled?
boring offensive linemen.
That's what I hope the Bears have. I hope they have the most boring next couple of days when it just line of scrimmage. That's what I want.
That's where it starts, and that's where I think the Cowboys need to focus on that side of the ball. You always want to build. I'd be okay with a boring draft. I really would. I don't trust them.
I want to see a lot of fat dudes. I just want to see a lot of fat guys like holding up a.
Thanks. You just titled the segment.
Yeah, just give me a lot of fat dudes.
Miami does not have a first-round pick. Bob just asked, how come?
But the Heat won.
How come there's only 31 picks in the opening round? That's because Miami forfeited their first-round pick. There you go. I feel like I'm Rich Eisen here, giving information out.
Man, you're doing it as early as 6:45 in the morning.
We'll be curious to see. So speaking of Mr. Irrelevant, worked out pretty good for a guy that ended up with the Niners and almost got to the Super Bowl. Is where will Max Duggan be taken? Will he be in the Mr. Irrelevant range in that 7th round? Will somebody look at him and go, guy's a winner?
Yep.
I'll give him a shot. I'll put him on the 90 and we'll see what happens.
I think that's where you do kind of look at, the whole the guy was a winner. He was a competitor in college. You
kind of guy you want in your locker room.
Yeah, you kind of put the measurables a little bit more on the back burner and you look at the personality and what they were able to do in college from that standpoint. And that's where you usually do get guys like that. And
one day they're like, how do we miss him?
I mean, not saying that he's going to be the very last one picked, but I think he's going to interest some people.
I think he'll be a late day 3 guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then
6-7.
And then the guy he played against in the national championship game, Stetson Bennett, is all over the map on what people think of Stetson Bennett and if he will be drafted or not. Go to FanDuel and look at the odds on where Stetson Bennett is going to be drafted. Nobody knows. I mean, he's not one of the 5 quarterbacks that'll go maybe in the first round.
Yeah.
But people are like, well, he's not going to be drafted. Like, whoa. He's not going to be a late day 3.
Chip on the shoulder now.
Tell you what, hey, you want success, you get to that Mr. Irrelevant pick. Maybe you go and get a quarterback. All right, 6:47. Coming up, we will discuss that there truly is no place like Nebraska. Maybe you feel that way if you had computer issues yesterday trying to get volleyball tickets, or you are looking at the lack of seats that are available. They don't play that until August 30th. It's the morning of April 27th. I don't think Wisconsin will be able to top what Nebraska is about to do with the college volleyball attendance record. 47 past the hour. Sarah Baker Hansen a little bit later. Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, and don't forget, Ask Us Anything. You chance to win a gift card to Oscar's Pizza and Grill with the best off-the-wall question for the show. So send your questions into Jimmy at 1620thezone.com.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant slowdown near 175th and Center. Then on L Street, be prepared for a minor delay from 102nd all the way to 79th. And along Highway 370, be prepared for some significant slowdowns near Golden Boulevard. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $923 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer. Visit any of our 4 locations for your new Chevy or pre-owned vehicle or at SidDillonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You are what drives us. Sid Dillon.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Severe for Rotella's Italian Bakery Bread. You know what tradition is. I mean, you're in Nebraska, so you know what tradition is, right? It's 5 national championships. It's 3 amazing coaches. It's all the great football you remember from the Huskers. I bet you there was a time, though, where you were enjoying a great game and you had a wonderful sandwich in your hand, and it probably was a tradition-filled Rotella's Bakery Bread sandwich. The bread is the key, right? Something's got to hold the meat, something's got to hold the cheese, and that's what Rotella's does for you. Whether it is just a regular white bread or wheat bread, or you're looking for hamburger buns or brat buns or hot dog buns, whatever you're looking. If you're going to be tailgating, if you're just kicking out in your backyard, whatever it is, you got the bread ready for you from Rotella's. Again, head over to 108th and Harrison or find it at your local grocery store. Rotella's Italian bread. Over 100 years of tradition.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Creighton baseball is back on the radio this season. I'm John Bishop. Check out the complete schedule of broadcast games on 1620thezone.com and gocreighton.com. Baseball on the radio. The Creighton Blue Jays on 1180 The Zone and 1620 The Zone.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, so we're paying a lot of attention to the portal right now in college athletics as we welcome back in for hour number 2, college football, which the clock is ticking. I mean, where is Deion going to get all of these guys that are transferring to Colorado?
Hey, they released videos. I'm sorry, film for those guys. There's a statement that came out yesterday. All is well.
Imagine
so
that.
Quit hating, folks. Quit hating.
So I do have a question. I was going to mention one of the craziest guys in the portal, but you brought up Deion.
Sorry,
Did I bring up Deion? I think I might have
you did,
but
and then I
But this
doubled
allows
down.
me to ask the question.
You had the assist.
So he's doing exactly, we beat this to death. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Right.
Okay. In fleecing the roster. If he was a good coach, like I'm good motivator, he wins, he recruits, he develops. Why would they run so many guys off?
That's a good point. They talk about all this development, and certainly there's got to be some guys on that roster like, you know what, this guy could play for us.
Yeah, if he was such a great coach, wouldn't he be able to coach some of these guys up that he doesn't think are up to his standard, or they're close, instead of just saying, I'm going to go get a bunch of new guys?
I've thought that since the first meeting.
Now, that's your prerogative, okay? There were guys that you inherited on that roster that were part of a group of players that got the last coach fired.
Yep.
That went 1-11. I get it. But there has to be something along the way that if you consider yourself a good coach, there are guys that might not fit what you want, but you're like, you know what? I'll be able to coach them up because we'll be able to develop them, instead of trying to construct a all-star team where really you can't do plug and play guys. That's kind of an indictment on you as a coach.
That's a great point. Because I thought that when he had his first meeting that says, you guys go hit the portals. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Before you start telling them to leave, maybe there's some guys there who'd be like, you know what? I can make them good. I can coach them up. There's some good guys in here. They just didn't have this or that.
Well, and we know for
You didn't
a
give him a
fact they've got
chance.
guys on that staff that can. You know, the whole story, if you read in The Athletic, and the offensive lineman that is talking to Bill O'Boyle, and O'Boyle's the one who says, "Well, I want you to hear from me and not Dion." And I do wonder, and we kind of touched on this yesterday, how much of the suggestions from the coach, especially ones that have experience, especially ones that probably did see some guys on that roster, and the carryovers from the previous roster are probably going to be like, "Yeah, we can work with that dude." It's like, no, nope. And so that's another another interesting dynamic of this program is the early, because I guarantee it's happened to at least one or two guys that a coach has said, "Hey, I like this guy," and they've gone to blows about it, or they've at least said, well, agree to disagree. We need to transition him out so we can have more scholarships available for somebody else. And if there's enough of those situations where what they bring in to replace the guy that maybe that coach or this coach liked, and that player that they bring in is not someone that is able to produce or that you're able to develop, yeah, there's going to be some resentment there.
I would hate to be in that athletic department right now.
Yep.
If I was working in, I know that it's compliance.
That would be one.
But whoever is in charge of, you help guys get into the portal with all the paperwork, but then you have all these new players that are coming in through the portal that are going to be enrolling in school awful quick. Yeah, have fun with that if you're in the athletic department, and that's part of your role to process the paperwork on players going out the door, and then all of a sudden this huge swath of players that are coming in. That's a good start with those people in the athletic department.
Eligibility requirements, making sure everything is where it needs to be.
See, I can't. I'm glad you guys are entertaining this, because I can't have this discussion with Colorado Josh, because every Colorado fan.
Oh, they're all in.
Yeah,
they can't play.
Hey, it's worth it if we win 7 games in 3 years and Dion leaves, because we still
give us our tiny baby buffs.
Hey, I can't have a conversation with you. Okay, I'm just giving you facts, and I was just curious on if Dion was as good of a coach, wouldn't he say to some of these guys, "Don't worry, I can coach you up." You might have played a lot last year, and you're on a 1-11 team, but you know what? I see something there. I'm going to coach you up, instead of just immediately going, "Yeah, we're good. We got another guy coming instead of you."
You know what it reminds me just a little bit of? Not entirely, because there's no parallel for Dion, but it reminds me of when Charlie Weiss got hired at Kansas. I just compared Dion to Charlie Weiss, so that makes me happy, because that's not good. Because what ended up happening is he gutted the roster. Now his strategy was to go all JUCO, pre-portal, obviously, and it left them in a almost death penalty like deal when he left. And that's what I wonder about when Dion leaves.
No, they don't care though. I know what you're getting at, and because they're going to have
they don't care about then. They just care about now.
New guys. The Colorado fan doesn't care if whatever is left for the next coach,
because they won't be fans anymore.
We're fans of Dion, who's coaching our school that we used to pay attention to.
The offensive lineman that was, again, going through that again, this is an example. I'm not saying, hey, this is exactly, this guy's words are giving you a bigger view of what's happening, but it was an interesting example. What you just brought up there. Remember what the offensive lineman said as far as that conversation with Dion is, you're 6'8", 315. I know in my heart of hearts, you're going to be playing college football, or you're going to get picked up in the portal. You've got a future in college football. It's just not here. I think you just described something that, going back to your point there, Sharpie, if you are a strong developer, or if you believe in your coaching staff and you have a guy that has that type of size, and you're telling him, and I know you're trying to soften the blow when you're pushing guys out, and it happens everywhere. But you would think, okay, with all of that, if you're a true developer, boy, wouldn't you be the guy that can take me to the next level, or can up my game a little bit? But
or by the way, wouldn't do that to me where I just transferred here in January,
right?
And I'm not a grad transfer, and now I've got to transfer again.
Yep.
So I've got to get a waiver. You sold me in coming here, and then you cut me. Now I got to get a waiver to play again.
Yep.
This version of Colorado, which we will watch because it's a reality show, and ironically, I wonder if this will be involved because we see it on Hard Knocks with NFL guys that get cut. His reality show is filming right now in Boulder.
That's awesome.
So will that include some of these players getting cut?
Yes.
I mean, wait for the reaction to that.
Yeah.
NFL, we're like, oh my God, that's emotional when they say bring your playbook.
Yeah.
And that, 54th guy is sitting right in front of you. You got to cut him at the end of training camp. And we watch that on Hard Knocks and go, oh, if you see that in college
just had a
on
kid.
Dion's reality show and it's college, I will be curious on the reaction, both on the, hey, that's how it works, or the other side of, my gosh, this is what college sports has become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the reality. And I mean, this one more so than to think, and I will step back for a moment to say, to think that this isn't happening throughout college football where, you're having these conversations, and in some occasions you do have to somewhat gut a roster. But I think the circumstances are unique because it never seemed like a lot of these guys that were either holdovers or in some cases were brought in and had basically 15 practices to prove themselves and now are being pushed back out. I don't know if I've ever seen a situation where it looked like those guys just from day one never had a shot. And I feel that. I feel that way. I feel like there was probably the majority of that roster from a year ago. And I understand you're 1-11.
Again, in that auditorium, I just thought he's going to cut all of them.
Right. You don't have a shot. And then so it's like, hey, if that's the case, then what are you doing during spring? Why are you keeping them around? Get your new guys in and introduce them to what you want to do as opposed to sort of stringing these guys along. It's just it's a reality of athletics. I get that, but you don't always have to like it. It's sort of the cruelty of it as well.
Well, there's the part of being organic. Like, okay, so everybody knows that Nebraska still has, what are they down to 8? They have to get to 85. And so there were 3 yesterday. Hardy is not a surprise. Braxton Clark, kind of and kind of not, because you could see that he was losing his grip on quality playing time in the last kind of year. Now there's a guy, because some of these guys have themes of at some point during their career, they suffered an injury and they either missed a year or they missed a significant amount of time and they were never able to catch back up because, you're supposed to recruit over any player that's on your roster. And then you had Wynn, which happened right at the end of our show yesterday. Now that's a little bit of a surprise because of a position of need and a guy who played last year and for all intents and purposes had been okay during the spring. You didn't ever feel like he was slipping. But I will be cautious to say anything about him until I see where he goes because somebody got to him, and that's fine. That's fine because Nebraska may have a guy from Syracuse that they're going to look at. But it seems like these places where post-spring ball players are leaving, it almost seems organically like, hey, I'm not going to cut you right away. But I'm going to allow you to make your decision.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's be honest.
A little more simple.
Guys that want to play football and they don't see a path to playing more football at their respective school, they get it. Those are the guys that it's, the portal is built for you.
Yeah.
But the guys that stay up, man, I know I'm not going to have any shot to start, but I like it here. I'm going to hang around. So not everybody is Dion. You alluded to it, Jimmy. Not everybody is Matt Rule. And there's no, perfect way to process your roster. You actually should process your roster before you ever put it together.
Right.
Okay. With a plan of every year is not free agency.
Yeah.
But in my office, I've got a 5-year spread out scholarship distribution plan.
Yep.
Your plan should be before you ever get to, okay, we got to process this guy.
Yes. And there are going to be years in every program that you're going to see that number of the guys coming out, the guys coming in and being higher, and some years lower, depending on what you have, for your core group. But you said the key part of that, though, the plan. I know that this was, I guess, Dion's plan. I mean, this is what he said that he wanted to do. Yet I don't and maybe we will in September. I don't understand the method to that plan right now. Maybe we'll see the result of that soon. But it's hard to be able to say, oh, yeah, I could totally see that working. I'm very skeptical on how that sort of mass exodus and bringing in a brand new roster in the time that you have can work. But hey, if you're on board, Colorado fan, you're on board, and nothing we can say is going to probably make you a skeptic. I get the excitement, but it's just it's definitely not an ideal way to build a roster.
I think half are oblivious. The other half is like, we don't have any choice. It has to work.
Yep.
No, they got what they wanted. Okay, they're fine in Colorado. They got Dion. He's bringing a lot of attention to the program. It's the best money that Colorado athletics has ever spent.
Yeah.
Whether it works out or not, it's the best money they've ever spent because they have gotten more publicity about their football program than they've gotten in a while.
I mean, we talk about them nearly every day, and to be honest, I don't get bored with it because I'm very interested in it.
But there's stuff about the whole college football landscape of this is what I hate about college football. This is what I love about college football. Depending on how long you followed the game and your passion for what is going on right now with essentially is free agency. It's the portal giveth and taketh away.
Yeah.
You lose a couple of guys yesterday. I mean, I think Nebraska still has probably a wide receiver, a linebacker, and a DB that they've got to, and there might be multiple guys, but I'm just saying those three positions, and linebacker would be, of course, the last. But wide receiver and defensive back, they still got some room to maneuver some guys because there's guys that I just don't see a path that they're going to play quality minutes here, or even a path where, okay, they're developing, they've got a shot, just give them another half year, and then they're going to break through.
Yeah.
Just everybody goes about it a different way, but you get excited. So, like, let's say you might have been yesterday confused about when. You're looking up today. Who's this guy from Syracuse that started for Tony White that played 2 years for him that's in the portal now? Gear. What give me all the film that I can grab.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the
it's a roller coaster.
It's the portal giveth and the portal taketh away.
This goes back to what you said yesterday about we talk more about this than recruiting, and it just gets the antenna up for the fan. That's where we're at now.
The thing. No matter what, it's always entertaining. It's interesting. It's going to keep you engaged with roster management, and that's something that usually post spring, before the transfer portal existed, yeah, you'd get some guys that would end up leaving, but it wasn't as frequent. It wasn't, here's the first wave. Now here's the second wave. I mean, you just didn't have that. So once you kind of got to spring, it got quiet. It got a little bit more into, all right, now we got to wait for, conference media days before we really get some true substance. But, until that next period ends, I mean, it keeps you definitely interested in what's going to happen to your team's roster for sure.
Should we play a game here? And it won't be a very, very comfortable game because a departure yesterday was in Nebraska's recruiting class of 2020.
Shall we play a game?
A recruiting class, by the way, that was 17th in the country. So Nebraska comes in and they have to put together 18 or finish off 18 quick.
Yeah.
And then you are basically building the 19 class off of hope. But then the 20 class was essentially built off of what you showed your first year and what the vibe is. So the 2020 class under Frost was ranked 17th in the country. You guys make a noise when you hear a name that is still at Nebraska.
Okay.
And on the back end of this, we're going to talk about the lingering effect of a class like 2020, how long it lasts, or how quickly in this world of free agency you can fix what is one of the most missed classes in the history of Nebraska football. Endab Joseph, Daniel Cerny, Marcus Fleming, Alante Brown, Jaden Francois, Valdarius Payne, Jordan Riley, Jamari Butler.
Yes.
Thank you. Nico Cooper, Keyshawn Green, Omar Manning, Muaga Clements, Marquise Black, Ronald Delancey, Henry Gray, Marvin Scott III. I should also add, this is the recruiting class that was the COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. They were coming on campus when COVID was going on. So there's a little bit of that to factor into the 2020 class.
Yep.
Savion Morrison, Will Nixon, Blaze Gunnerson.
Yep.
Nash Hutmacher.
Yep.
Alex Kahn.
Yeah. No, wait, no, not Alex Kahn. No.
Taman Lyman.
Yes.
Turner Corcoran.
Yes.
Xavier Betts.
Yes.
So Corcoran and Betts were the two highest rated guys in this class.
Yeah.
So you've gotten something out of them. I mean, Xavier Betts is a unicorn because he's one of the rare high school wide receivers in the last decade that has caught like balls at Nebraska. High school wide receivers.
Right.
Oh, that's even worse. Logan Smothers, Isaac Gifford.
Yes.
There's seven of those players from the class of 2020, which is we arrive on campus and that's the COVID year.
Yep.
But we were not recruited during the COVID year. It was prior to, you were signed, sealed, and delivered before COVID became a thing. 7 of the 26 of a class that was signed just a few years ago are left. So does that? Can you clean up that?
This is like you said, where the portal helps
sooner than later, or is that class missing where you were fairly heavy on the defensive side of the ball? When does that catch up to you?
That is, you're right. It's whether you want to label it uncomfortable or just eye-opening of that
both.
amount from that class. Said, yeah, I would say it was supposed to be sort of the pivotal class. Wasn't necessarily your culture class, but your pivotal class for at the time, a newer coaching staff. Oh, that is wow. I mean, at least you got the highest rated recruits still there. So there's that.
And they have been starters longer than
they've
Corcoran,
contributed
longer than Betts, and Betts was here and then went away and has come back. And we don't know what 2.0 is going to look like, but at least they have either started multiple games and done something. Now Turner Corcoran hasn't lived up to. He's one of the highest recruits that Nebraska's ever brought to campus. It's just that 2020 class. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
I remember his recruitment.
You can overcome that pretty quick. Oh, when he was recruited, I don't think many people batted an eye and thinking he's not worthy of his ranking.
Yeah, nobody back in Kansas people would ask, are they recruiting? It's like, I mean, they can recruit, but there's no way. He's a solid commit.
All right, 7-11. We'll get an update here in just a moment with Jimmy and more on not only misses on a recruiting class, but also at the wide receiver position, how much that's going to impact down the road. But first, with an update, here's Jimmy.
For the second time in 4 days, Creighton baseball gets themselves a walk-off win in the 9th inning as the Blue Jays beat UNLV 8-7 yesterday at the Chuck. Creighton's now 19-15 on the season. They begin a 3-game road series with Butler tomorrow. You hinted at this. Move over, Swifties. There's another group of frustrated fans. Tickets went on sale to the general public for the big Volleyball Day in Nebraska event on August 30th. Select groups, including season ticket holders, had first crack on Tuesday, but Wednesday morning, it was time for the rest of the people. However, demand and traffic were so high that some fans had trouble getting tickets. Wednesday afternoon, as thousands logged on to the Husker website, later in the afternoon, one could purchase 2 tickets together in row 60 of South Stadium, which doesn't provide the best view of the court. Nebraska's athletic department plans to wait until at least sometime today to share details about the number of tickets sold. Sounds like it's pretty good. That will come after students and other groups can begin to get tickets on Thursday. I
believe it's sold out now.
Yeah.
From what we're seeing right now.
Pretty amazing deal.
As of this morning, it is sold out.
Not that it's a surprise. I mean, we kind of expected that. 4 Game 5s in the NBA playoffs last night. The Knicks eliminate the Cavs 106-95. They'll meet the Miami Heat just like old times as the Heat erased another big fourth quarter deficit late last night. If you went to bed, this time they were down 102-86 entering the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler scores 42. They upset and eliminate the Bucks, the team with the league's best record, 128-126 in overtime. Miami beats Milwaukee 4-1, and a lot of questions surrounding the future because that window will start to close. I mean, you see how fragile it can be when Giannis gets hurt in round 1, and they're a bit of an older team now, and they just won the championship a couple years ago. But it's
and why wasn't Brook Lopez over by the paint on the game tying send to overtime? Jimmy Butler, a little catch and score. I don't know. I just figure you have
Grayson Allen had the last shot, or at least would have had the last shot at the end. Elsewhere in the West,
that's a shame.
Yeah, the Grizzle beats the LA LeBrons 116-99. LA leads that series 3-2. They'll play Game 6 tomorrow night. And the Kings look to have blown their chance as the Warriors win 123-116. No beams were lit last night in Sacramento. They can close that out. Golden State tomorrow. And if you don't like staying up late to watch them, I have good news for you. It's the early game. 5 o'clock local tip in San Francisco. That's their problem, not yours. Speaking of earlier tipped.
Hey, but credit to the NBA because the NBA gets the time.
Yeah.
So the NBA Finals games are now going to start at 7:30.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, this is great. I've heard that and I'm happy. 7:30. 7:30 weeknight game. 7 o'clock still on Sunday. They announced that yesterday, and I think we talked a little bit about that last week, and we're talking about how baseball has gotten better and they start those World Series games closer to 7 o'clock. I mean, it makes a difference, especially if you want kids, your future consumers, to be able to watch. So good on the NBA. You're up, NCAA. Let's move that championship game up a little more. We don't want to be starting that at 8:20. Billboards demanding the return of Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy have sprouted up across Los Angeles yesterday, courtesy of a longtime USC donor who says he won't stop until the NCAA clears the way for the Hall of Fame running back of college football, that is, to get his stripped award back. Enough is enough, said Brian Kennedy, founder and chief executive of Regency Outdoor Advertising, whose name graces the USC football practice field. Kennedy, whose company owns the billboard, said he didn't tell Bush of his plans before launching 15 billboards peering out from freeways and busy intersections across LA for at least the next month. According to the Los Angeles Times, Bush didn't comment, but he has recently mounted a campaign of his own, lobbying the NCAA and Heisman Trust to have his trophy returned. Give him his trophy back, especially we just talked about portal and this new era of NIL. Give him the award back. Wouldn't have been taken away if it was today. Ask Snoop what he thinks.
Yeah. This goes to the old vacating of wins and everything, like being told when
I saw them happen. Happen.
Exactly. I mean, I remember Reggie Bush holding up a Heisman Trophy.
Ask Jason White if that happened.
And honestly, like wherever they store their own, and then you have the real one. I don't know, nor do I really care. I'm sure athletic programs maybe do, but
I would have had one made of chocolate. Like, here, take this one.
If I saw you holding it up at the ceremony, then you're a Heisman Trophy
You won
winner in my book.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Thanks, Jimmy. I think Wendy's gave him back his Heisman, though, didn't they?
I thought they did, yeah.
All right, 7:17.
Why does he never take a bite out of those sandwiches, by the way? You never see him take a bite out of them.
Do you see many people on food commercials eat the food?
The ones that I do, I'm like, they're really into it. But like Reggie Miller, Reggie Bush, I've never seen them take a bite out of.
Thus, they look like they do. And
yeah, well, true. But yeah, I'm like, come on, guys. Just after they say, all right, we're clear, you can spit it out. It's fine.
That can be a question you can ask for Sarah Baker Hansen when she
gonna-
joins us at 8.
I'm going to ask about that.
How come on commercials people don't eat the food that they are showing off?
Mm-hmm.
And then you will go into the world of how on these photo ops and photo shoots for restaurants and food, what they do to make sure that the food looks great on camera.
Porn, man.
All right, 7:17. It's mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. There's a lot of stuff going on, whether it be the big games or the big show, including a little event at Memorial Stadium coming up in August called Nebraska Volleyball Day. Ticketsforless.com has tickets for you. They also got tickets for the upcoming season for the other team that plays in Memorial Stadium when they begin in the middle of September. You want to go to the biggest shows, you want to go to the biggest games, Ticketsforless.com has your access and never any per ticket fees when you check out. And we'll give you an even better deal when you do go to checkout. Just put in the promo code THEZONE, all one word, THEZONE, for an additional discount at checkout when you go to Ticketsforless.com.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
We don't talk enough about Cracker Jack being mentioned every seventh inning stretch, being the best ad placement of all time.
Great take.
Is Cracker Jack the worst ballpark snack?
Like, even out of the snacks, it's like the fifth best option. They get a free entry into every ballpark in America. You go up to the concession stand, it doesn't matter what game you take, and I get a bag of Cracker Jack, and they're like, sure, nobody's bought one in 14 years.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another nice spring day ahead for Thursday. Expect sunshine in the morning with increasing clouds through the afternoon. A bit breezy at times as well, with south winds gusting around 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report near 120th and L, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then we're also getting reports that 24th Street between Lake Street and Wirt is closed due to a fire, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for a bit of a delay from 60th to 42nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Does great pay, fully funded medical benefits, and a solid retirement sound good to you? IBEW has immediate openings for journeyman electricians. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Bob at 402-980-7596.
Your new Chevy Silverado is waiting for you at Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley. Lease a 2023 Chevy Silverado $1,500 for $499 a month for 39 months with 10,000 miles per year. Or receive 0.9% APR for 60 months on the 2022 Chevy Silverado $1,500. Trust our knowledgeable, friendly staff to find you a Silverado that doesn't meet but exceeds your expectations. Find new roads to Woodhouse Chevy, exit 75 off I-29 Missouri Valley, or woodhousegm.com. With approved credit, first payment and doc fee due at signing. Must have current GMF or Conquest lease. See dealer for details. Expires 4/30/23. Creighton baseball is back on the radio this season. I'm John Bishop. Check out the complete schedule of broadcast games on 1620thezone.com and gocreighton.com. Baseball on the radio. The Creighton Blue Jays on 1180 The Zone and 1620 The Zone.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the Q's Fund Board, which supports the Q's school system. To learn more, go to Q's Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome to Draft Day.
Oh, yeah, that's today.
You have made it. I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you for your patience and perseverance. We have, beginning today, officially reached the end of mock draft season.
That is worth celebrating, isn't it?
For a few days, and then we'll get next year's fired up.
Yeah, congrats.
Around business.
Congrats to you, too. Yeah, that's
one mock draft season might feel like more than 2 NFL seasons to some. Like the most I've seen is might be SI.com. Somebody has a mock 10.0. kudos to the people that wait until the last minute, like yesterday or
you get some this morning,
and that is your one and only mock draft.
And then you know it's going to come out Saturday night.
They're up to 11.0 now.
Saturday night, we'll get our way too early mock draft.
Oh, we always do that. We get our
2024.
way too early top 25. That's what we do. We like lists. So we're attracted to brackets and lists. That's what we become in this country.
It's true.
You want to run for office? Show me a bracket. Give me a list. Boom. I'm with you. You want to
very
sell?
true.
You want to sell tickets to an event, a volleyball event? Challenge me. I'll buy it. So we like brackets. We like lists. We like challenges. We also like a little perspective in our sports. And last night, I could sit in here and gloat. My team, playoff Jimmy and the Heat, came back another double-figure deficit, and they came back last night. And as an 8 seed, they beat Milwaukee. Okay, they beat them. You didn't even have to go 7. Big reason why Eric Spoelstra greater than Mike Budenholzer.
Absolutely.
So there was mistakes down the way, and there were boneheaded plays by Milwaukee throughout Game 4 and then last night. But there was also the fact that Eric Spoelstra outcoached Budenholzer because they were doing, I don't know how much you guys watched of it. So they made a great adjustment. And this might, you're going to hear from Giannis in just a moment. This might also have to do with his frustration of not only losing the series as a 1 seed when people thought you would win the NBA championship or at least play for it.
Lost
and
in 5.
what Eric Spoelstra did to you last night, you and Lopez, their high ball action where they made Bam Adebayo as the primary ball handler, defensive roles, and Milwaukee, I mean, they made this adjustment. They were down 7. Well, they're about 3.5 minutes to go. When they made this adjustment, Milwaukee was never the same. So Milwaukee loses. The place was stunned.
Yeah.
I think the NBA world is stunned today because that's a Heat team that lost Hero. They lost Oladipo.
Yeah.
They're a team that drove me nuts all season long because they were basically a 500 team. Remember, they lost their first play-in game. Okay, they had to beat the Bulls on their home floor just to get into this series. And I think that's what they've been like all year. They're very inconsistent. And the next thing you know, bam, Bam Adebayo, and they take off.
Well played.
So Giannis, who does have a ring and is a superstar, he is one of the best worldwide. He also is probably one of the better interview subjects in sports because he doesn't hear the question and immediately answer. Usually pauses a little bit and he thinks about his answer. Now, I want you guys to react and everybody else to a moment in a post-game presser that you don't normally always remember. Like there's certain things about he an idiot. Like, and this is a lot of the NBA because they televise their
Both teams play
post-game
hard.
press conferences.
Good night and God bless.
But there's very few particular in a post-game presser. You will remember this one. So last night after the game, and this shows you the difference of how we look at things as a media or fans compared how an athlete looks at things. He was asked last night, Giannis was after the game, if this season was a failure.
And before anyone comments, it can't air on the stream, but it will be on the replay. And of course, it's on the radio.
In the moment,
Ain't that something?
that's a hell of a perspective.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising. And I know what he wanted to say. Either have you ever played the game or you haven't played the game. But in our world, you do pause a little bit because he gave you the athlete's perspective on a season that does not meet expectations. He was pretty passionate. That's the most you'll probably ever see him of, just like, he wasn't riled up, but you could tell that got him going, and his passion in that answer.
He's a very
worth listening
thoughtful
to.
human
Yeah.
being.
Well, it was a thought-provoking response, because we've done this and we will continue to do this in what we do, and anybody who follows and covers sports. We will look at a preseason expectation, or we'll look at a team that seems to peak at the right time, and a team that comes in with a number next to it in a tournament, as a number 1 seed. When Purdue lost to a 16 this year, and you're asking probably the same question, was this season a failure? And what I get from Giannis's response there is, you're trying to measure an entire season, months and months of work, or as he says, steps to success. You're trying to define that by how it went in a 7-game series, or in a one and done situation, if we're talking about the NCAA tournament. And as much as we're still going to ask that question, because I think you're going to get a different response from certain athletes. Some are going to say, yeah, I hold myself and my team accountable to, if we're not playing in a championship setting, then it's a failure to me personally. That's how Giannis sees it, though. And I can respect that more than anything. I may look at it differently as far as how we're going to ask that question, because, again, these are the conversations we have every day about, boy, if we'll use Nebraska baseball as an example. They didn't make the Big Ten tournament last year. If they don't make it this year, are we calling that a failure? And I'm sure the head coach would say that's a failure. But maybe certain players that did have some great moments don't want to look at the season that way too. So if anything, it's perspective that I can respect, because it's on a completely different spectrum on how our mind is going to operate covering it, as opposed to the guys that we're covering. So I thought it was a very thought-provoking, and I thought it was a very real genuine response, which I at the end of the day, I will always appreciate that.
And think about, Nick, around here, when we were talking about Creighton basketball and
That's
the lead up to March
exactly
Madness,
where my mind went.
How many times was it brought up? Hey, this season would be a failure if you're not blank. If you're
100%.
If you're knocked out on Thursday or Friday, the opening round.
Yeah,
or you
they don't make the second
it,
weekend.
You don't make it to the second weekend.
Yeah.
Well, they made it to the Elite Eight, and it was a success.
Right.
If you get a chance, share that and listen to it, because me in this world of where we critique athletes and we judge seasons, it shows the separation of how we look at it,
right,
compared to how an athlete looks at it. And it was
even digging deeper personally.
Well, you can tell he was pretty passionate about it, and he was thoughtful, and he paused. I mean, he does that a lot, and I appreciate that, because he doesn't waste a lot of words when he's asked those kind of deep thinking questions. He doesn't say right away. So he's kind of there, as you heard in the soundbite. He took a pause.
Yeah, he's like,
he thought about it, and then instead of just ripping the reporter, which would have been easy to do, he kind of opened up his kimono to how an athlete at that level, that is one of the premier athletes in their respective sport, how they look at the whole season, on how it ends and how you get there.
Right.
Like, go from A to B to C.
And just
that was really good.
When you brought up the Creighton example, just by bringing that example up and what we heard from Giannis, I can, again, whether I agree with it or not, I can understand, even if something like the scenario we laid out, say Creighton doesn't make the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, and you're asked that question, I could now respect an athlete's perspective of saying, you know what, we overcame a 6-game losing streak to get to where we were. We overcame
I'm picturing
a lot
a
of
Mac
different
had said
things.
this,
That would lead me to believe that there was success amongst this team. It wasn't at the end of the season in the tournament. We didn't maybe have success in the tournament, but the entire season, what we had to deal with, what we had to get through, and where we were playing ultimately there at the end of the season, you could look at that entire picture as a success. So at the very least, it makes you think a little bit more about how an athlete might view that compared to us who are just kind of putting end results of a season in a category of success or unsuccessful.
It's also you don't know everything. I mean, what was going on behind the scenes in the locker room in that whole season? And also a guy who, I mean, if he's there for 2 games in this series, do they win?
Right.
All of that stuff.
And he had
came
38 and 20 last night.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Came together at the end. All right, 35 past the hour. Saber Baker Hanson, Steve Sipple will stop by. We'll get his thoughts on the spring game and the portal season. And can Nebraska add players? They're trying to get down, but could they add a guy if he fell into their lap or there was a strong connection? Do your homework on the latest from Syracuse to enter the portal. That might be one to watch. Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Hi, this is Kathy Knoyer with Knoyer Garden Center. The beauty and color of spring is in our greenhouse, featuring thousands of gorgeous hanging baskets and hundreds of varieties of Knoyer grown product. Come in and talk with our family of employees who will help you find what you're looking for. Whether it's home decor, annuals, perennials, shrubs, tropicals, or vegetables, we have it all. Knoyer Garden Center is located between Highway 370 and Cornhusker on 66th Street in Papillion. Open daily, 9 to 7.
At Knoyer Garden Center, everybody's got a green thumb.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FOOTBALL at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FOOTBALL. Enjoy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Add 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
The Omaha Barbecue family, along with Heart Ministry, Black Firefighters, North Omaha Community Sponsorship, and Open Door Mission come together to feed the homeless. Join Wayne's New School Barbecue, Mr. Smoke Signals, Porky Butts, Barbecue Brothers Mobile, Smoke and Jay's Barbecue, Big Mama's Kitchen, the Pit Lounge, and the Rib Shack on Sunday, May 7th from noon to 4 at Miller Park. There's fun for the kids, music by Houston Alexander, and more. Volunteers and food donations are needed. Reach out to omaha#lunch@gmail.com for details on how you can help.
Experience every pitch, run, and legendary play. Your home for Royals baseball in Omaha. 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
So, Jimmy, in the update earlier, I told you about Creighton, another walk-off. Or third time this year, they had a walk-off win, second in their last 3 games, beat UNLV in a afternoon contest down at the Chuck. It was good to see that Tommy Steyer came in and pitched the ninth.
Yeah.
Because he left the game, and I thought he was injured in the ninth on Sunday, but he came back and pitched the ninth yesterday, and so that's a good sign and a good win for Creighton, which talk about a weird season for them.
Yeah.
They're only a game out of first place in the Big East, and it doesn't seem like it. What they're
Right.
4 games over 500.
Yeah, I think
19 and 50.
It's kind of a meh college baseball season around here.
It is
where you could have. I mean, Nebraska's going to make the Big Ten tournament, but Omaha and Creighton are going to have to scrap a little bit in the last month to make sure they're inside of their 4.
And it's interesting too because we've seen like Omaha, they've had some midweek success, especially against Nebraska. But I was talking to one of their baseball alum at the game on Tuesday night, and he said, "Gosh, we could just figure it out on the weekend." I'm like, "Ha, that's like the exact opposite, other than last weekend for Nebraska." And then Creighton's kind of been a mixture of both. But I mean, hey, you put yourself in position. I mean, UConn's a very good baseball team, but you put yourself in position to be right there in the mix of it and play there in the Big East tournament. It's just not. I would say this, and this is no disrespect to either 3 of the programs, at least as of today. What are we? April 26th. As of today, where's it? 27th. 27th. Sorry, April 27th. Do any of those teams look like if they did get to the NCAA tournament, look out?
No.
Yeah. And that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I think between Omaha, especially being on the come as they have here lately, Nebraska, given what they went through a year ago and what they were able to accomplish the year prior to that and, reshaping this roster, and then Creighton, which you just always know the identity, and Ed does it to a T, and it's a formula that really can work. There's just not the consistency that you were hoping to see that would invoke any type of confidence as of today that if they were able to win their conference tournament, and that's the other question too, do any of them look like you feel great about them winning the conference tournament that they would be playing in? And that's tough to say yes as well. So that's a bummer right now, but still got another month to go.
All right, Sarah Baker Hansen coming up top of the hour. The portal is active again today. We are whittling down in college basketball. I notice we're down to only like 1,250 players.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still players that are probably going to go in the portal. I mean, you would have to say, even though Nebraska basketball wasn't a winner with the Hunter Salas decision yesterday, C.J. Welcher won. He stays another day at Nebraska. Doesn't have to be forced into a decision.
Yeah.
So Hunter Salas goes to Wake Forest. Nebraska goes 0 for 4. Now who's next at point guard? Creighton is active in the portal. I saw that Ryan Miller tweeted out a picture in the jet going to Memphis. Pretty good closer. Jonathan Lawson is a transfer from Memphis that Creighton is hot and heavy on. Nebraska, where do they go if they still desire a point guard? Isa Silva of Stanford would be a guy that would fit. But would this guy fit? And you two are going to have to help me out here. We're going to have to do the math. So I was perusing the portal, because Omaha is active in the portal as well.
Mm-hmm.
They should have a visit this weekend of a pretty important portaler. DeJuan Clayton from Cal has entered the portal. What do you guys think of his game?
DeJuan Clayton from Cal?
DeJuan Clayton. What do you think of his game? Like, are you thinking NBA? You thinking if Wembanyama wasn't in the draft, then Clayton would commit, so he would be the top pick?
I would go no.
No.
So he's in the portal. He is looking for a spot to play. I'm really surprised that Mark Madsen didn't keep him. But by the way, Cal might actually have a little spark. But Mr. Clayton is seeking a spot for his 8th season of college basketball.
I was just going to say, he's made the rounds.
So, some of us, maybe a lot of us, I think there's a lot more that want to admit it. Go to college for 8 years. Now, sometimes you go to college for 8 years, and when you get out, they
And
put
you're not a doctor.
Yeah, they put a couple of initials behind your name.
Right. When you're not, it just happens.
Hey.
It happens. Life happens.
Some people like to go to college for a long time. There is an ardent Omaha athletic supporter who goes to every single sport. He is dressed in his hockey sweater, his helmet, and he has got his cape.
A flag as a cape.
He's been in college for a long time. Likes to go to college because he gets tickets to the sporting events. So he's been in college. I think I asked him, he's longer than 8 years. So DeJuan Clayton would like to go to school for his 8th season, plays 8th season of basketball. He played 5 seasons at Coppin State, beginning in 16-17. Then he played 1 at Hartford, and then he played 1 at Cal. He also has never sat out a season. Do you guys realize that in college, he played against Kyle Kuzma? Kyle Kuzma just finished his 6th year in the NBA.
He's been in the league a while, yeah.
Now, this would make sense if there was a redshirt year or a medical redshirt year than the COVID year. But how is this guy able to play now for 8 years?
The fact that he played
MEAC all rookie team
with Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, like, I mean, there's some accolades.
He's done
with him,
stuff.
Too.
But I think I figured it out. I mean, again, I was in college for a long time. I was not, do not start it on the Reddit page for the show. I was not in college for 8 years.
So did he have the
maybe 6?
Did he?
And I'm not a doctor. And I'm
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Not a
hey,
lawyer.
college is fun. I don't care what anyone says.
Did he get a medical red? No, he played enough last year. He wouldn't have got a medical red shirt, right?
He did stuff.
So this is, I did the math on this because I couldn't believe this. I mean, he's
injury at Hartford.
He's shy. He's just shy under a decade. He should be a doctor.
Well, he's having no problem renting cars right now.
So his first year at Coppin State, played a full year. So there's 1 year of eligibility. Then the next year he played 6 games, got a medical red shirt.
Okay.
Next year, full year. So that's 2 years of eligibility used, 3 years in college. The next year, full year. So now we're to 3 and 4. 2021, full year. So we're 4 and 5. Then in 21-22, he only played 2 games before an injury, got another medical red shirt. Then he went to Cal. He missed 23 games, not eligible for a medical red shirt. So he finally is using his actual red shirt. And to be able to play this year, he is now using his COVID year.
Yeah. Because when you said 2021, that was the COVID year. So that year didn't happen, regardless of how much or how little you played.
He will celebrate his 26th birthday here in about 3 weeks. So, happy birthday, 3 weeks
I figured he was at least 25 renting cars, scot-free. So.
You see, you can't have a quarter-life crisis if you're still in college. So this is genius. I wish I'd figured that out.
How come no one has ever done a story on that guy for UNO? And I miss his name. It's not Cliff.
Honestly,
but he's a diehard.
I don't think I even knew what his first name was. I just knew him as Supermav.
He has it figured out. You get student tickets. I mean,
yeah, I just know him as Supermav. Yeah, that he's been present enough at games where you would think there'd be some type of human interest story.
Well, so I asked because you see him everywhere, and good on him. He supports every sport. Doesn't matter if it's fall, winter, or spring.
That's cool.
He's there, and he's dressed the same all the time. So when I first started doing Omaha men's basketball, I was like, God, that guy looks a little bit older to be in the student section. I wonder if he's just like a super fan and doesn't buy tickets anywhere else, but gets right behind the glass at hockey games. Yeah. He's in the front row at all the basketball games.
He did try to drive the Mav Boney last year. The normal guy was not available, and that didn't go well. He crashed into the boards, and then of course that's during it's during the goal, so you got a little window to get out of there,
get out and run.
And all of a sudden he's panicking. He's like he's oh my God, what I do? So he got out and he tried to push the damn thing out of there. Oh, it was hilarious. And Ethan was not happy. Ethan was. I don't know if Ethan.
He won like Marshawn, just like.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're gonna ride that thing, you need to have a little bit of training on it. I don't know if Ethan knew about this or not, but he was pissed because it delayed the game like a good minute. Oh, it was, yeah. I felt for the kid, but it was kind of funny.
I didn't know who he was, so I thought I got to ask, and he told me the story. And he has, I think, enough credits for like 2.5 degrees.
Wow!
But
so
he just keeps going and grabbing credits, and he can go to games for free.
I'm assuming he's part-time.
Yeah.
At some point, they're like, you know what? You've done all you can do here. We appreciate your interest in higher education and our athletic teams, but we're going to have to put you on the regular season ticket plan.
I get it if you change majors.
Yeah.
Maybe you go through 3 years and you decide, hey, that major is not for me. And
you can be on the DeJuan Clayton.
You just start racking up bills and stuff and just start taking more classes. And
Is that going to be a part of the appeal process for student athletes? Or like, you know what? You get to year 5. You're like, I just changed majors. I'm going to send a waiver. Come on, give me some more eligibility. I had a lot of pressure on me. I was in the wrong major.
Does it have on his bio? So he has to, we have there are a lot of student athletes that will be chasing their master's degree.
Yeah,
the graduate education.
It could be Casey Thompson. You already got it.
So Clayton, does he have a couple of degrees?
1 degree from Coppin State, spring of 2020.
He's BA
in social science,
business administration. Yeah.
Let's see, nothing from Hartford.
At least he's listed as a grad student. Finally,
I don't see anything from Cal. So we have 1 degree.
26 years old, 8th year of college basketball.
Yeah. He's my hero.
Iowa JD, though, says, hold my beer. So at Oregon, Cam McCormick will be playing his 9th season.
Yep.
Redshirted in 2016.
That's when I got married.
And we were reminiscing about guys that are gone from the 2018 Nebraska football recruiting class.
2020.
He redshirted. He played as a redshirt freshman in 2017. Actually caught a so here's even more about this kid's journey. He was on Oregon's roster when Mike Riley coached against Oregon in 16 and 17 and actually made his first career catch against Nebraska. Sophomore 2018, season-ending injury in the season opener. 2019, missed the entire season due to injury, granted a 6th and 7th year of eligibility. 2020 missed the entire season due to injury, and that was the pandemic season. Then listed as a senior in 21, he played in the first 2 games before sustaining a season-ending injury. And then last year, a 7th-year senior playing for Oregon.
There was a time.
Does he give his birthday?
Well, and I think Iowa JD would probably know this too. And there was a time that the NCAA, when it came to medical red shirts, were not nearly as loose as they are now because I think it was Drew Ott. Didn't he have a medical waiver that didn't go well? And just like any of them that we've heard get granted the extra year, it was pretty legitimate as far as the amount of games he missed. I can't remember exactly why he didn't get the appeal, but there was a time the NCAA was extremely strict on what qualified as a medical redshirt and what was, if it was a gray area, it's almost like they said no. Now it's like if it's a gray area or hell, even if it's like you went 1 game over what we used to have the threshold, but gosh, pain and suffering is enough for us. Go ahead and take another year if you want it.
That was the situation. He had gone past the threshold. He played in 6 games. Iowa played 14, I think, the year that he was appealing or he got hurt.
That's what it was. Yep. So it was a percentage of games.
And the Big Ten didn't support it.
Yep.
Like the Big Ten initially denied Iowa's request, and then they went to the NCAA, and the NCAA says, well, you got, 30% is the number.
Yeah. That's what it was.
You've completed more than 30%.
But now there's no way that they would deny that. Like, okay.
Well, how will you look at
students?
So how will you look at players that transferred to Colorado in January and are transferring out because they'll need a waiver?
Yes.
To transfer the second time. So the NCAA has to go to the top of the list and they just greenlight. Because what are you going to do? What would be your denial process for a transfer like that?
Well, especially when it's pretty transparent. when it comes to how that went down. This wasn't your choice. You transferred, you used that one free transfer in the hopes and idea that you were coming there to make your home in Boulder. And then when you're forced out on not doing anything like detrimental to the code of conduct for Colorado football or anything, but the coach just simply doesn't have a spot for you, doesn't think that you're going to be good, that you have to move right back out. You've got to be able to grant that waiver.
No, so look at like Chubba Purdy. If Chubba Purdy ever decided to transfer to Nebraska, he would need a waiver because that would be a second time. But when you went in front of the NCAA in his, if his situation, what are you saying? Hey, I'm not going to be able to start here. I want to go somewhere else. How's the NCAA look at that? I mean, they almost have to go, okay, green light. We're thinking those are like automatic stamps. And then we're debating, well, what's Eric Gilbert's case? That seems like a slam dunk.
Right.
But that's the one you hang up on and go, wow, I wonder how they'll look at that.
Yep.
So welcome to college athletics, DeJuan Clayton, in his 8th year. Does he play point guard, Jimmy?
I know. Is Fred
6'2", 6'2", 195.
Do we
190?
know
Excuse me.
Do we know if Nebraska has reached out to him? Because I was wondering when we saw, was it last night that Ray J. Dennis, the Toledo guard, in the transfer portal, like, okay.
In his freshman year, he averaged
player of the
12
year.
points, 2 rebounds, and a team-leading 3 assists. So I would think that's a point guard.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers you want.
How's Ramel Lloyd doing?
I'm trying.
SBH coming up. Steve Sipple as well in the next hour. Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. Hey, how is your vehicle as you get into it this morning? Listen to the show. Think, gosh, brand new SUV or a light duty pickup would be fantastic for myself. Yes. And you know where I'm going to send you? I'm going to send you to my good friends over at Woodhouse Buick GMC, where you can experience difference. Up there first, large indoor showroom, 119th and I, and they've got an influx of new inventory that meets your needs, whether the vehicle that you want or financially. So there's the SUV, plus there is also the light-duty pickup trucks for business or for pleasure, and great deals right now. This is only until the end of the month. You can save $3,000 off MSRP on the 22 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, which is a luxury pickup truck, or receive $1,750 off the MSRP on the 23 Buick Envision. See dealer for details. These expire at the end of the month. You can see them in person or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Again, these expire at the end of the month. Stop in today, in store, 119th and I, or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio. This is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports of that accident near 120th and L, and that's going to be backing up the exit from I-80 West to westbound L Street. Then we're also still getting reports that 24th Street between Lake Street and Wirt is closed due to a fire earlier this morning. And on Center, be prepared for a little bit of a slowdown from 192nd to 186th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic is brought to you by Nanfito Heating and Cooling.
Don't be hot and bothered this year. Call Nanfito Heating and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner today. Nanfito Heating and Cooling specializes in residential installations, repairs, and maintenance on all brands of air conditioners. NanfitoHeatingandCooling.com.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's Babbel.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
Halfway home here on your Thursday mornings with Sharp and Handley. It's that time to welcome in one of our favorites, Sarah Baker Hansen, joining us here. And Sarah, did I hear correctly? You've also fallen victim to maybe the allergies out there.
Yes, I think you can probably tell by my voice that I've got a head. I think it's just a plain old head cold, good old fashioned head cold.
Yeah, it's I've a little bit of it these last couple of days, but the last month has been very, very interesting when it comes to that part of it. So we feel you. Everybody in this in the studio, we're feeling for you.
I said it was super relatable.
Yes,
we've all been there,
and we appreciate you toughing this out because I know it's not fun to do.
You know, I like talking to you guys, so I'll make it through the next 15 minutes. Don't worry.
I appreciate that. And so I had a question earlier. We were talking about something that came up about Wendy's, and I observed something in.
That's right. We're leading off with Wendy's.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you have a review coming out soon, but there was something that I've noticed. How we got to this point, I don't know. Something about Reggie Bush and being in the Wendy's commercial, but I noticed that there are a lot of people in some of these commercials that, they're endorsing a food product, but they never eat it on the commercial. Yeah. Is that because that's not part of their actual diet, or that's just more commonplace of we would rather you not do that because I don't know, is that common? Is that part of the marketing push there? Don't eat it.
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but I will say that I think eating on camera is one of the hardest things to do gracefully.
That's true.
I have had to do it a few times, and it's really hard to look attractive in any way while you're putting a burger or whatever it is
right
into your mouth. And I'm guessing probably it has something to do with that, super famous celebrity doesn't want to look like a dork.
Yeah, because I always thought, like, how are you
eating
going
a
to try to
double
sell me on
cheeseburger.
this when you won't even take a bite out of it? Like, you're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you won't eat it, then why should I? But you could be right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because we were also talking about the presentation of when marketing, and I know you've talked about even with social media of some of the restaurants that do it very well in not only talking about their product, and Block 16 being one of those that is amazing when it comes to social media, and you see what they're cooking up for that day, and you're like, I gotta go. On how you present food, whether we're talking about a standard commercial on TV or even social media, there's a lot that goes into that, right?
Yeah, there is. I mean, food styling, that's a full-time job that some people have in and of itself. And I remember when we worked at the newspaper, my favorite story about this was a long time ago. I first did a story about heart-shaped pizzas that various pizza places have on Valentine's Day. Now it's like pretty common, but at that time, it was like 8 or 9 years ago, it was pretty new. So we did a photo shoot, myself and the photographer. We ordered a heart-shaped pizza. We set it on this sort of like background, which was basically just a piece of like old white poster board that we had found somewhere in the newsroom. So not clean whatsoever. And then we got some roses and we surrounded the whole pizza with like rose petals. And, I mean, you're touching this food like, a lot. You're like, I'm, moving pieces of pepperoni around. She's kind of arranging these flowers like perfectly around the pizza crust. And so anyway, it was a photo that we used for many, many years. If you've ever read my stories in the World Herald in the past, you most certainly have seen this photo that I'm talking about. So fast forward, we've got this pizza. It's most certainly cold by the time we're done. It's like, it's been manhandled pretty much. We take it out to the newsroom and we set it down. And within probably 5 minutes, the entire thing has been absolutely demolished by people in the newsroom who just ate the whole thing. And I was like, oh my God, that is actually so gross.
But you presented it well.
Yeah, I mean, it looked awesome in the photo. And I'm sure a lot of people ordered it because of that photo, like I said, we used for many years, but just I would never eat food that was used in a photo shoot.
Yeah.
That is one thing I would not eat. And that could be another reason why in the commercial they're not eating it, because it might have, people in food photo shoots put different substances on food to make it look better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why they didn't eat it, because it had, Windex or something on the outside of it. Who knows?
It adds a nice little spice to it. You never know.
Level of flavor.
So the most recent review we're talking about here too, little seafood, correct?
Yeah, over at Isla del Mar, which I think is actually just a really fun restaurant to eat at. And I also really, really like the food, but I just think the spirit of fun about the place and the food was really what stood out to me when I was writing it. They just opened a second location in West Omaha. The one we visited was the original South Omaha location, which is, I can say, absolutely enormous. I mean, this restaurant probably seats minimum of 100 diners, which, I read a lot about restaurants. You don't see restaurants that big anymore. But not only is Isla del Mar that large, their second location is that large. And by all impressions, they are able to fill that restaurant with diners every night. We were on a weeknight visit, just absolutely packed. So people have definitely discovered the seafood at Isla del Mar.
I'm late to the conversation, so hi, Sarah. I'm Gary. Thanks for joining us today. You can find that review at sarahbakerhansen.com. That leads me into what I wanted. I made an observation. So this is a great breakfast town. People love breakfast here. It doesn't matter if it's just Saturday or Sunday. It seems like every day of the week, this is a big breakfast town. And there are more and more restaurants that are just in the breakfast hours. They'll do a little bit of lunch, but they go like the 6, 8 to 2. So Sunday, and I'm always very cautious of the church crowd and the post-church rush. So I try and time when I'm going to a place I want to, so they don't have to wait for a long time. And a couple of places were a long wait, but I said, let's go to Bailey's over on 120th and Pacific. Now, this is where my observation started, and it's really, really good. And I've been there numerous times, and it's about 12:15 this past Sunday. The wait time was 30 to 45 minutes, and I didn't see hardly anyone hear what the hostess would say, well, the wait's going to be 30 to 45 minutes. Anybody that said, no, I'm good, and left. They all stayed. And I'm like, if you are looking at the quality of your restaurant, if people are willing to wait that long, then something good must be happening. What do you think? And the people you talk to, or even you and Matthew that like to go out, and you were just talking about places packed, the time that you're willing to wait if you don't have a reservation at your favorite restaurant.
The time I'm willing to wait?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would pretty agreeably wait for an hour if I didn't have a reservation, and I have waited that long. I think wait times are interesting, especially now, because I think you walk into a restaurant and you see open tables and they tell you there's a wait, and I think that is truly an effective service industry folks. There just aren't as many of them, and so sometimes you'll experience a wait because there isn't enough staff to work every single table in the restaurant. But I think if it's one of your favorite places and you want to eat there and you've got your heart set on whatever the dish is, people are, I think, by and large willing to wait in Omaha, and I think we see that at all different levels. We see people. You mentioned Block 16 earlier. We see people waiting in line literally out the door down the street, for lunch. So I think, people want to support local restaurants and they're willing to wait for that.
I always appreciate when there's a bar option too while you're waiting.
Me too.
I think that always makes the wait go by a little bit quicker. And before
And
you know it, hey,
sometimes
our name's called.
Yeah. And sometimes if there is a wait and there are seats at the bar and the bar is often open seating, we'll just choose to sit at the bar. We like to sit at the bar anyway. So that's often what we'll do instead of wait if we don't want to wait.
And I agree with all of that. And so I asked the waitress, because I said, well, you guys must be nonstop on Sunday. And she said, yeah, once we open at 6 until we close at 2, we've got a steady stream. And we were talking about wait times. And she actually said, I would, and I know people have to be patient, I would rather serve the table that has to wait 30 minutes than the person that only had to wait 5. And I was like, okay, I kind of understand. Because she said, if they're only waiting 5 minutes, usually they're going to be in and out, and they're not going to, they probably won't be as good as tippers.
Yeah.
Than the people that were patient and said, you know what, this place is good enough. I don't care if I'll wait 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. So I just got back from Austin, Texas.
Jealous?
I was there over the weekend, and there's a barbecue place in Austin called Franklin Barbecue.
Yep.
And it's known around, at least I can say reliably, it's known around the country as some of the best barbecue in the United States. So Matthew and I go, we get there at 9:30 a.m. It's raining. We get a chair. We sit in the line, which by this point, I would say there are probably 25, 30 people already in front of us, maybe more than that. And we wait. The restaurant doesn't open until 11. We waited until we were in that line for probably 3 hours.
Wow.
And that is what happens at this restaurant every single day. They open at 11. They're open until 2, and people line up every day. The line started at the door, went down the stairs, snaked around the building down to the very back end of the parking lot. And so, and there are signs throughout the entire restaurant that say, thank you for waiting. We appreciate you, all of that. And it was, I can say, without hesitation that it was legitimately the best brisket I have ever eaten. And no one needs my hot takes. The walls are covered with other people's hot takes and huge magazine stories about this place. You don't need me to tell you it's good. If you find yourself in Austin, Texas, you should go to Franklin Barbecue, but you're going to have to wait 3 hours minimum to get it. And so, it's sort of like a lesson in what's worth waiting for.
Yeah.
So I know of this place because there was a show, this was probably 5-10 years ago on the Food Channel, and they did Texas barbecue, and they featured this. And at the time, I was like, why would anybody do this? That just, you either are a tourist, you got no job, whatever, that you're going to wait this long in line. And you are one of a handful of people that I've heard say it is worth it. Now, when you were in line, did you find more locals or tourists?
I would say, the people around us were definitely tourists. That we were there on a weekday morning, but here's an interesting thing. So you walk inside and there's all these articles and stuff on the walls or whatever. And right up by the front, there's a plaque on the wall. And it says something akin to the people on this plaque, the names on this plaque. For the record, there was only one name on it. I think it might be new. These people on this plaque have waited in line for our barbecue 100 times or more. And there's a guy listed on there. Like, he has to be a local, right? Like,
I'd hope so.
He has to live in Austin. And so I'm sure there are people now who are like working to, get their name on this plaque. But so I do think there are locals. We saw people taking to-go orders. I imagine that they probably are locals. I imagine on weekends it probably gets even more aggressive in terms of the wait time and the line and all of that, which is why we went on Tuesday morning before we got on our flight home. But yeah, I mean, there are some experiences I think that are just, I don't know when I'm going to be back in Austin. I wanted to try it, so we blocked off our morning in order to make that happen.
It's a great city. Is there any other place that you ate at that you would recommend?
We had a few other barbecue places. We ate at a really interesting restaurant that was called, it was kind of a strange name, Dai Due, DAI space DUE. And what's really cool about it is that it was it wasn't barbecue, but it was definitely meat focused, grilled meats. And they had really unusual and really good proteins on the menu. So there was antelope on the menu. There was wild boar on the menu. There were just things you don't see every day.
But this is like local because you'll see antelope and boar in that part of Texas.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah. And so it was just really well executed. I mean, just from top to bottom, just really, really good. And so, kind of stuff like that was really fun. But yeah, I would say definitely the best thing we ate was Franklin barbecue. It was amazing.
So you've piqued my curiosity because we were also talking about the NFL draft earlier and where people should be enjoying some great barbecue in Kansas City. Texas, I would say, is known for having great barbecue. Obviously, we know Kansas City as well. You've done your travels. Is there any spots that that maybe surprised you, whether they recommended their barbecue or other places besides kind of what we know that you would say, hey, that was actually pretty decent in different states?
Outside of Kansas City or in Kansas City?
Outside of KC and outside of Texas.
Gosh, I mean, those are the primary places that I've focused on barbecue. I've had Carolina barbecue.
Okay.
Matthew and I have kind of, done when we were in Charleston, we had some really great barbecue. I think I've
sneaky
eaten
good
enough barbecue at this point that I feel like I can reliably say what the differences are in the styles of barbecue.
Yeah.
And they are all quite different. I mean, in terms of flavor, execution, sauces, I mean, they're all obviously meat, but the, I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite. I like them all.
Yeah.
But, Carolina barbecue was probably the one experience I've had outside of Kansas City and Texas that I would say is most memorable.
All right, we will, because we're up against it here, we will not go into your debate with your husband about the best theme song on TV.
Okay, we can talk about that next time.
Hey, because knowing Matthew, I bet that was a good conversation, I imagine.
Yeah, it was. It was very fun.
Hey, thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, talk to you later.
That's Sarah Baker Hansen. Ross, so I was gonna get into the crossover the other day. 30 to 5 minutes. You've been there, right? Bailey's?
Yeah. Oh, Bailey's is awesome.
Jimmy, put it on your list with you and
Bailey's
the wife.
is great.
But I
can remember that. It's her dog's name.
Because on Sundays, people can be a little bit impatient. I don't want to wait that long. But people are just going 30, 45 minutes. And it was a true 30 minutes that we waited.
Yeah.
But nobody. And then they had a little bit of areas outside you could sit, on benches and stuff. But nobody said, no, I'm good. I'm off to the next place.
Yeah.
So good sign for that restaurant. I don't know that I would wait an hour.
Especially the time that you went.
If I'm going to a place, though, that I have to wait an hour, it's probably nice enough that I made a reservation ahead of time.
Yeah. I would agree. But, sometimes on those weekends, they don't have call-ahead seating, and it's just you kind of know. But, I mean, you said you want to right around noon?
Yep.
Yeah, see, if I'm an hour – once I get there at noon, an hour wait time, I'm probably like, all right, well, we got to get this day crack-a-lacking. So, yeah, I would probably – but if I'm in the morning, and you're right, it's strategic about the church rush. is trying to work around that, either going way early or during the time that most church services would be going on. You go beyond that. I mean, it's your funeral when it comes to trying to get in there. But I would also think that places like Bailey's, and you go there enough to where they have their regulars. The people, they know when to come. They know when they're probably going to reduce that wait time. But there are just certain places where if you kind of know it going into it, it probably, kind of like what Sarah mentioned with that barbecue place in Austin, you kind of expect it, that.
And I know Franklin. That's one I wish I've been.
It sounds good. I've never been there, but I mean, it's just, if you know it going into it that you're probably gonna have to wait, I guess you kind of maybe make your future plans of the day sort of around anticipating that wait time. Then, hey, if it's not as long of a wait,
when she said you sit the wait, there's chairs for. That's usually a sign.
Yeah, that we want to make it comfortable because you're going to be waiting here for a while. But yeah, as soon as you mentioned Bailey's, I perked up, because here's another good sign of a good breakfast
have you
place.
Conquered the Porkosaurus?
No,
Ooh.
I've looked.
I'm on their menu right now.
I've been hungry going there where there's times I'm like, I wonder if I could do, but no. But here's another good sign of Bailey's. We've gotten it to go a few times, and breakfast food between where Bailey's is and where we live, there's at least a 10-minute lag time from transporting food from restaurant to home. And breakfast food especially, it tends to get cold fast. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, it was still warm. It still tasted amazing. Like just getting it to go was amazing. So if you don't want to wait, and you have that option.
Oh, there's the Porkosaurus. Oh, I made a mistake of being on this menu.
I couldn't do it.
No, you'll be in a coma for a day.
The pancakes are amazing.
Ross says Stanley's in Tyler, Texas is unreal. But on Saturday afternoons, you'll stand outside for an hour in line before you get to the order window, and then you get your table. But one of the best in the country. That is Stanley's in Tyler, Texas. Quick ask about, because I've never been to this place, and it always seems busy, and all I can think of is there are like hour-plus waits, but they're always busy. Vidlax, Brookside Cafe on right across from Verza's place.
Yep.
That place is always busy. It looks like the parking lot is always packed. So I'm thinking in my head, I want to go there. I want to try it because it's got to be popular. It's got to be like an hour wait because it's always busy. It doesn't matter the time of day.
Oh, I know this
place. Do they just park cars there?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it gets rave reviews, but that place is always busy. And all I can imagine is going there on a Sunday, and I might as well. I better bring a paper or whatever, bring my phone fully charged because I'm going to be waiting for an hour.
We actually went there not too long ago.
It does seem like a place that, okay, if that's the wait, it's good enough. I'm gonna stick around.
Don't let the parking overwhelm you with the wait. I think it was a Saturday morning we went, my wife and I, and this was before we had Reese. It was fine. I don't think we waited very long, and it was good. I mean, it's nothing that like stood out to me. I would still take Bailey's over it, but I mean, and again, when you got in there, you could see the interaction between the wait staff and a lot of the regulars. You could tell there's a lot of regulars area, and that's their place. I mean, because you got the whole like Harvey Oaks area and stuff. So I think it's just kind of a little town, little cafe there.
So why doesn't, just to wrap this up,
cafe.
We'll get to an update with Jimmy in just a moment. One of the best things, and again, I'm a cheap haircut guy, so I go to a chain haircut place. I mean, come on, I don't have a lot of hair. I don't want to spend,
Oh yeah, no judging.
And I only go like every 6 weeks, so I'm not like going every week. But one of the best things is I can check in.
Yeah.
And then they give me a countdown to when it's going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
Does any restaurants do that? Like I check in and I've got on my phone the app for your restaurant, and it lets me know, hey, you're 20 minutes away, you're 15 minutes away. So let's say you're with kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to wait 30, 45 minutes with a toddler on a Sunday. But if you knew, hey, your table will be up in 15 minutes, not guaranteed, because like when I go to get my haircut and they say, hey, 5 minutes and you'll be up, I might have to wait a couple of minutes. That's perfectly fine. But I didn't, make the reservation and I had to wait for 30 minutes. I planned it out where I'll be there and maybe I wait 5 to 10 minutes. Why doesn't restaurants do that?
Two places that I know actually do something similar, and they're not, unfortunately, they're not local. We were at, this would have been in Oak Brook, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, one of the burbs, I know you've been to a Yard House.
Yep.
Yard House did it where it kind of let you know where you were in line because we hit it at like a peak moment. And then Jimmy, Free State. Free State Brewing.
I know it well.
They also,
I've drank well there.
You get on their app. We did this before the KU Baylor game. Got on their app.
How long was that wait?
Actually, it was funny. So at first it was an hour. So we're like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's less than I would think on a Saturday.
You checked in.
We checked in. And then we'll schedule our Uber when we're about a half hour wait. The only problem was we went from 30-minute wait to within 5 minutes. Your table is next.
No.
And being ready, we're like, oh crap, we got to get our Uber. But then you could put yourself back in line. And then you could tell they were clearing out because we kept creeping back up too. But it was nice just to kind of know, like, your progress of it, so you can do other things. Or even if you're, in that area, people familiar with Lawrence, you could go to a place like next door, and then when you're getting close, you can just walk right over. So it's very convenient. Unfortunately, I've never seen any of them local. Maybe there are some restaurants here locally that do that, but I know it exists.
I think, hey, this is a big breakfast town. There's some great breakfast spots in this town. Maybe
That's one thing I have
a little
noticed.
convenient. Oh, we love our breakfast in Omaha.
I'll say this, guys.
I'm here for it.
This doesn't sound sexy at all. Hy-Vee has a mean breakfast. Their pancakes are, and see, that's what I love about Bailey's too. Bailey's has amazing pancakes. Hy-Vee's pancakes are really good. Like and it's a grocery store too. But like early bird, give me the breakfast tachos.
Well, Oklahoma Joe started in a gas station, so who is anyone?
I mean, you got taco. I've had a breakfast burrito from Taco Bell. It's not the worst thing I've ever had.
But you didn't have to wait for an hour.
No, I did not. No, I didn't. I was
some of those drive-thrus.
All right, Sip's coming up here in a little bit, but first, here's Jimmy.
Hungry. I'm going to eat this microphone thing. All right. Creighton men's basketball adds its second player of the week, signing Sterling Knox to a letter of intent yesterday. The Las Vegas native, that's the one in Nevada, by the way. There is one in New Mexico. Played last year for Red Rock Academy. The 6'6" wing will have 4 years of eligibility remaining when he arrives this fall. He's one of 4 new players added to the Creighton program. The Storm Chasers were shut out for the first time this season in a 5-0 loss at Nashville. They were held to just 4 hits. They're now 8-13. Same 2 teams tonight at 6:35. Here's your good story. He got in. Drew Maggie's long road to the major leagues culminated in his first career at-bat last night. The 33-year-old infielder, we talked about him last week. He'd played 1,155 games across 13 minor league seasons before getting called up to the show by the Pirates earlier this week. Appeared as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning. He struck out his lone at bat as the first-place Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Dodgers 8-1 at PNC Park. He pinched hit for Andrew McCutchen. Imagine thinking, you're pinch hitting for McCutchen? He pinched hit for him with 1 out in the 8th inning, received a standing ovation from teammates in the Pirates dugout, and they have to add this in here, the sparse crowd at the ballpark. He pulled the first pitch he saw from Alex Vesia foul, then got into an 0-2 hole after being called for a pitch clock violation by home plate umpire Jeff Nelson. A little bit of everything for him. He fouled off another, then took a ball before striking out on a slider. Madison Bumgarner was released by the Diamondbacks yesterday after clearing waivers. The veteran left-hander was designated for assignment on April 20th, giving the team 7 days to trade the 2014 World Series MVP and place him on waivers. He wasn't claimed and consigned with any team for a prorated share of the $720,000 major league minimum. Life comes at you fast. The 33-year-old allowed at least 5 runs in 3 of his 4 starts this season and dropped to a 10.26 ERA after his latest outing against the St. Louis Cardinals. Some more sad baseball news. Mariners left-hander Robbie Ray will have surgery to repair the flexor tendon at his pitching elbow. He'll miss the remainder of the season, and he's in his second season of a $115 million 5-year contract. He was injured in his season debut against Cleveland. Way to go, Nick. Your team just sends people's seasons. He threw 91 pitches over 3 1/3 innings, walked 5-1 shy of his career high. In hockey, 2 Game 5s. Panthers stay alive as they beat the Bruins 4-3 in overtime back to South Florida for Game 6 tomorrow. And the Seattle Kraken are 1 win away from eliminating the defending champion Avalanche as they win 3-2 in Denver. Game 6 in Seattle tomorrow night, 3 games tonight. Maple Leafs look to finally win a series. They play Game 5 against the Lightning. Toronto up 3-1. Rangers and doubles Game 5. That series tied at 2. Vegas looks to put away Winnipeg in their Game 5 up 3-1 and 1 Game 6 tonight in the NBA. Boston and Atlanta, I expect the Celtics to play their best game of the series and put that away because they need to get ready. Philly's waiting. They've been off all week.
Ugly Kraken jerseys and all.
Yeah, that would be...
How about that?
It'd be a bad look for Colorado, but McCarr will be back for Game 6.
You know what? It would
That'll
be
make a big
revenge for
difference.
those Sonics fans who are still bitter over the Nuggets beating them almost 30 years ago in Game 5. There you go. Get them back.
Hey, the NHL, the previous expansion team made it to the Stanley Cup final their first year.
Yep.
Seattle Kraken might knock out the Stanley Cup champion in
Right.
year 2. And Seattle was horrible last year.
Yes, they were.
And it's not like they have recognizable talent unless you follow Seattle every day.
Mm-hmm.
That would be one of the major upsets in sports in this decade.
Yeah.
Is if Seattle pulls it off against Colorado.
I'd agree.
All right, Stephen M. Sipple is coming next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, it is a excellent time to get out to Woodhouse Mazda's 2 locations. They're exclusive Metro locations in Bellevue and in Millard. As you right now could take advantage of a great deal going on with the Mazda CUV lineup. You can get 0.9% APR on select 2023 Mazda CUV models, like the Mazda CX-50, the Mazda CX-30, or the CX-5. And excited next month, going to be talking to you about the newest addition to the Mazda CUV lineup that you will not want to miss as they continue to give you those quality vehicles that look great on the exterior, but also give you that peace of mind with the ultimate safety features. When you choose Woodhouse Mazda, car buying is on your terms. Shop online at woodhousemazda.com or woodhouseplacemazda.com to browse their inventory and even start your deal from wherever you are. Make it easy on yourself. And with available driveway delivery, they are delivering convenience every time you shop with Woodhouse Mazda. Stop by their showroom again, 144th and Giles in Millard, or Highway 75 in Bellevue. Customer experience, as I've been mentioning, is absolutely second to none. So get into your spring adventures in style with a brand new Mazda CUV at Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
I couldn't imagine my life without cream cheese and
You
cruise
can't
control.
imagine your
Yeah.
life without cream cheese, really?
Yeah,
Really?
You should put it on a shirt. I know 2 absolutes in this world: cream cheese and cruise control.
Which, by the way, would make a heck of a name for a blog.
I'm adding
Or
that to my band
podcast.
name list.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, The Connor Happer Show, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, 6A to 6P, 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another nice spring day ahead for Thursday. Expect sunshine in the morning with increasing clouds through the afternoon. A bit breezy at times as well, with south winds gusting around 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports that 24th Street is closed between Lake Street and Wirt due to a fire earlier this morning, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Along Industrial Road, be prepared for a significant delay from 149 to 144th, and on Dodge, things are slowing down just a little bit from 94th to 77. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Reason 15 to celebrate 30 years of Fernando's.
Simply put, margaritas are pretty friggin' delicious.
Winner of first place in 2023's Best of Omaha's Best Mexican Restaurant. Come in and get your Fernando's fix.
It's spring. Now is the best time to shop at Lenaha for all things garden or landscape. Our garden center is filled with the largest selection of homegrown plants, flowers, trees, and more. The area's best mulch and soil available for delivery and pickup. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lenaha Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Ever walk through a door and see all the trucks? Yeah, It's kind of like that at Gretna Auto Outlet. Half-ton trucks, three-quarter-ton trucks, dualies, gas or diesel, Gretna Auto Outlet will be happy to show it to you. They don't call it truck heaven for nothing, you know. Stop in the climate-controlled comfort of the indoor showroom or online with the virtual showroom at GretnaAuto.com. Gretna Auto Outlet, open Sundays too, just north of Nebraska Crossing on Highway 6 in Gretna.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Don't miss this week's Zone deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 worth of vouchers to Le Voltaire French Restaurant for only $25. Le Voltaire Pepperwood Village is a locally owned, unpretentious French restaurant serving down-home cooking with an extensive wine list and great handcrafted cocktails for decades. Whether dining with friends, clients, or that special someone, Le Voltaire will make you feel right at home.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
You know, somebody who loves discussing the portal, the pros and the cons and the excitement is our next guest from on3.com, co-host of Mornings on 93.7 The Ticket.
And speak loud because he's in the car.
It is Steve Sipple. Good morning.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Good morning.
What are you doing?
I just had a good experience. I opened my truck door and I found some reading glasses. Like they just fell out, which I needed. So it's kind of a
win today.
welcome development to my day.
Yeah.
How long have these been missing? Like an hour or two, or?
Well, yeah, come on. Do we got to go through the whole reading glasses thing? I mean, people that are older know they cost, I don't know. You can get them for like $275. So I got a bunch of them. And I'll start with like 10, and then it whittles down. Pretty soon, sometimes you're down to 1, and it gets a little dicey. If you're not familiar with the reader glasses phenomenon, it can get rough. I can't read anything without them.
Yeah.
So there's some people that have 30 of them.
Well, I know,
and they keep them in their truck and they're by their recliner at their wherever their computer is. And I'm right now I'm down to the nub.
Okay,
it's like where you place tissue boxes, in the home.
You
have your readers right there too.
Did you say in your recliner?
Out next to your recliner.
Next to your recliner. Well, you know what? You can go if you go to the Dollar Tree, which is no longer everything is just $1.25. They have like a huge display of readers right next to the checkout. So next time I'll pick you up some. You just send me your digits on what you need.
2.75. I'm up to almost blind. So yeah, I need a 2.75.
All right. Well, good thing you have binoculars when you're sitting up at the press box.
I actually gave my binoculars away to Parker Gabriel, and I regret it. Need to get some more.
So how did you see what was going on Saturday?
I noticed it. It's interesting.
You felt it.
That I watched the game. Miss so much when you're watching a red-white game because, I'm so trained to watch 11 guys, and then all of a sudden in the red-white spring game you're watching 22. So I'm it was sort of embarrassing when I rewatched it on TV. They keep showing it on the Big Ten Network. But wherever I've seen that replay a couple times. When I'm watching the replay, it's incredible how much I missed that day. So thank God for replays. And I think people should understand. Like Matt Rule was asked after the game, basically for his impressions. Or what he thought overall. What did he say? Well, I mean, I really need to watch the video. And I totally understand that. I mean, there's no way you can process everything on right then, So thank God for reading.
Yeah, I gave up. I don't remember watching much of the fourth quarter. I think I was walking around talking to people.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? It's still playing?
Well, but I mean, by that point, the game had become choppy. We were trying to debate, would you rather have your name on the sports center, the field, or a locker room? At that point, I'm like, yeah, you know what? We've reached our limit of spring football.
Yeah. Sports center, like a center or an arena.
Bob Devaney,
Field or a locker room.
Tom Osborne, Frank Solich. Yeah, who would you rather be? I said Devaney because your name is on the sports center.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, having your name like the Sharp Center would be incredible.
That would that sounds kind of cool.
Build a
too.
casino in there and have sports gambling.
The Sharp Center really sounds.
The Sharp Center brought to you by FanDuel. Yeah.
Well, I ain't no Bob Devaney, and we've already surpassed the cigarette tax, so we wouldn't be able to build the arena today. All right, now to some serious stuff. I know you love the portal. There'll probably be more portal guys today from Nebraska as they make their way down to their roster limit, but not really any surprises. And I know you're feeling on, hey, is this guy a surprise? But while Nebraska is and guys have made their decision to move on and they just haven't publicly announced it yet. And I know Matt Rule was asked about offensive linemen. He said, nope, we're good with the guys we got. We got the guys that are coming. Would it surprise you, though, if Nebraska added a guy or two from the portal here in the next week or so?
No, it wouldn't. I don't think that they feel like they're in dire need of anything. I mean, listen, when we asked Tony White the question of where you, this is going back to when they introduced these coaches, and I guess Tony White, maybe it was in January when we originally talked to him, the media, and he was asked, like, are there areas of need? And he said, what did he say? He said, you're always looking for big guys. You're always looking for linemen. So, yeah, I mean, with Stephon Wynn going into the portal, they definitely take a, and I'm not even saying it has to be a starter type player. I mean, if you can just find a rotational defensive lineman, that would be great. But if you look at the available players, it's not like there's a bunch of guys you would identify and say, yeah, I think he could come in and play in the Big Ten. It's sort of hard to find right now. Now, again, portal's open until Saturday, so maybe there could be some more movement.
And that one, because you brought up Wynn, Jatius Gear, who played for Tony White at Syracuse, went into the portal yesterday.
I'm sorry, what's that person's name?
Jatius Gear.
Yeah, I haven't looked at him. I mean, if he's played at Syracuse at all, you'd think that would be someone to look at. Now, I don't want to speak out of turn. Those guys are paid a lot of money to evaluate guys' film and can he play in the Big Ten? I don't know, but yeah, you take if he can. If you size him up and say, yeah, he could contribute in this league. Yeah, I think you'd want to try to get him.
Sip, the transfer portal news over the last couple of days between the two quarterbacks. Yesterday, you mentioned Stephon Wynn, but also Braxton Clark. Any of them, and I know it's hard to be surprised during portal season, but any of them maybe were a bit of an eye-opener at all, if that's possible right now?
Yeah, when I say that, I'm not surprised by anybody. I'm really not. I mean, you can't, but you can't in this world. I mean, you can't have that conversation, I don't think. But when I say that, doesn't mean there's guys that are talented. There's guys that could be important to your team.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen a guy other than Wynn where I'd say necessarily that, oh yeah, that's gonna be hard to replace.
Yeah, that one hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I think Wynn certainly borders on that category if he's not already in it. If he's not in the category. But I mean, Logan, it's pretty cut and dry, I think, on a conversation like that with Logan Smothers, where I think it could be as simple as Logan, we just don't see you any higher than 3, on the 3 line, 3rd string. Maybe not even 4. You might be 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Logan liked it here. I know Logan's really high character, and Logan Smothers shows up every day ready to compete. So that's the kind of guy you definitely like to have in your program. But, you saw Sims, and he's better than Logan Smothers. Casey Thompson's better than Logan. He's better. They're better. Any objective evaluator would say that. So he's 3 at best. So that's it. I mean, I guess that's the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Logan hopefully can go to a place where he can play, because he is dynamic in a lot of ways, and intangible qualities are through the roof with Logan Smothers. Through the roof good with Logan Smothers.
You would agree, though, that there's only 2 guys that could start at Nebraska on this roster right now at quarterback?
Yeah, I would say that, right. Yeah, I mean, that's hard, kind of a harsh evaluation.
No, I don't think it's harsh. I think we all saw Harburg is very early in his development that you don't.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, if you're serious about winning, and it's you got. But here's the thing: is they got 2 good. I love Sim. I love the way that looked. I love that picture. I love the intangibles. I love the way he operated. And then, I mean, the intangibles, I bring those up first because the tangibles are obvious with him. He's just a big, good-looking athlete, and he can throw, and he's obviously he runs a 4.4. I mean, 6'4", 220, runs a 4.4, and can throw. I mean, I think he's going to be hard to unseat in that on that number 1 line.
I do too. I think Matt Rule has, he's disappointed with the ball being on the turf, but for the most part, they got the inner workings. They got the start of a foundation. If we pressed him and said, which side of the ball were you most impressed with after 15 practices, you think he'd go offense or defense?
God, that's a good question. I don't pretend to know. I mean, I listen. It's a good question.
Because let me just chime in real quick, because like Tony White's impressive. I think, and both sides of the ball have a ways to go. I mean, they're not a finished product by any means. But beginning of spring, I thought the offense, because of Satterfield and Rule together, and the offense would be quicker to come together, and you'd feel better on April 22nd about the offense. The defense has some key guys that didn't go through spring and didn't play on Saturday. But as this has gone over spring, why I ask this question? Because I think Tony White, as people have gone, whoa, he knows what he's doing. And then we saw it for the first time on Saturday, and certain things they were doing with guys that either just got here or guys that have been on a milk cart. And I'm thinking, wow, when they have their full array of players, what he might be able to do.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's going back to your question. It's really hard because if you listen to Rule throughout the course of spring, it wasn't like he didn't exactly tip his hand in that regard. It wasn't like he was asked that question, like, who are you more impressed with, offense or defense? But the praise was sort of equal, I think. I don't know where he's at. I'm not going to try to answer that, but they have material on both sides. Pretty good. Now, the caveat is I don't see, if you're looking, I always do this, and I think it annoys people, but if you, I don't know if I can identify more than a couple guys that'll be drafted next year that you could say right now.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm not talking down the line, because they got some guys down the line that look like they could play in the NFL, perhaps. But if you just look at next year, I don't know. I don't believe, and I could. This is for the last several years. Nebraska has enough of those type of players where you can just say, yeah, he's going to get drafted. Newsome for sure is that guy, Quentin Newsome. But I would challenge you. Who else next year? Who's surefire? Who can you say, yeah, he's going to get drafted? There's just, hey, listen, guys, you can't have, if that's the way it is, your program has a ways to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be, you're right about it. I mean, remember when we were all excited when Prince got drafted in the first round in 2011? You're like, wow, that's back-to-back years. Bo's defense has produced a first-round guy. That's the last time there was a first-round guy from Nebraska.
Yeah, I know, and I say this all the time, but Nebraska hasn't had an All-American player since 2011. And 2011, okay? I'm not going to be casual about that anymore. In fact, I'm going to ask Trev about it this week. I mean, how can you go that long without having an All-American and expect to compete at a high level?
Yeah.
Especially in a conference like the Big Ten. I mean, if you're okay with just finishing in the middle of the pack or below, yeah, all right. That's what you're going to get. If you never produce All-Americans, that's what you're going to get.
Hey, Sip, we saw yesterday, and talking about the quarterback situation too, Casey kind of put out some video of him making some throws, kind of typical what you would see in, kind of a combine type throw, making each throw. It was interesting that the timing of that as well. We were kind of going over this yesterday. Is it sort of a, hey, remember me? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to kind of throw my hat in the ring for this competition. Or could it also be, if you're looking for a starting quarterback, here's what I can do right now?
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't think it's that.
Okay.
I've never gotten any, it's not like I don't, it's my job to talk to people close. I've never gotten any, I could look really bad after I say this, but I've never gotten any indication he's leaving.
Yeah.
None. So it would it would surprise me if Casey left. That's based on that. Just based on, I've asked, doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I hope I'm right. I mean, I hope Casey's all in, and I hope his objective is to challenge hard for the starting job, because he'll have a shot. It's just, it's got to come down to sort of exactly what the staff is looking for and how much of the run piece is going to be part of the equation. And if they can say, okay, we'd like the quarterback to run more, but Casey just gives us so much with his downfield passing, and with he operates the offense really well. And Casey's intangibles are great, and he is a good operator.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry. Hey, all I said last year, the whole year, was one thing I'm not worried about going into the game is Casey. You never worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always ready. He's stable. All the crap that he had to deal with, getting hit from three sides against Rutgers, never complains, shows up, prepared like a coach. Those things all matter, and that's kind of why I'm always Team Casey. I mean, he approaches it like a pro, and I love that about it.
Great stuff, Sip. Good seeing you Saturday. I know you guys are busy. Good stuff. Good content, by the way. All the things you guys are doing. I appreciate it as always. Drive safely and have a great weekend, and hopefully you can see.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Good conversation.
Thank you. Good conversation. You were, I think, sarcastic earlier about when will the mock early draft of 2024 be out?
I was already out.
Well, the number one pick is Caleb Williams. I mean, he will be announced before this year's first pick, actually.
Yeah.
They'll just
and the ceremony,
early Woj
the
bomb.
honorary 2024 first pick. We don't know the team, but it will be Caleb Williams.
So two stats were in there. Sue and Prince go back to back first round. There's the All-American since 11. There's also the All-American offensive lineman, which you got to go back even further. And so you're thinking, okay, what's the NFL draft going to look like next year? This is on the Pro Football Network. So they have done their first mock draft. You would be very, very happy.
Man, just let the first draft go first before we do that. Okay.
So Caleb Williams goes 1.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison at Ohio State goes 2. Offensive lineman at Penn State 3. Drake May at North Carolina 4. And then Quinn Ewers at Texas 5th.
Wow.
That'd be a heck of a jump for him. They don't have anybody from Nebraska in 24 in their projected first round. But here are the 5 top prospects that are inside of the 247 top eligible prospects for the NFL draft next year. Sip said Quentin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
He's 144th on this. Miles Farmer, 237. Turner Corcoran, 247.
Okay.
Bryce Benhart was the only guy that had NFL attached to him by Matt Rule this year in the spring.
Yep.
Not on this list. Jeff Sims, 84th top prospect according to Pro Football Network. The highest ranked draft eligible guy next year from Nebraska, Luke Reimer at 81.
Wow. Some guy, Luke Reimer. Wow. Okay. See, I would have thought maybe you are looking at a Turner Corcoran in there. Just the value of an offensive line, but that's says something right there about Luke.
Before past the hour, you got a chance in the next 30 minutes, get in a question or two. We have space available for you. Ask us anything. Chance to win a gift card to Oscar's Pizza and Grill. Ask us anything. Could be about the draft. Can be about like if you had to draft somebody from the opposite sex. Think draft. Think draft.
Think in the gutter.
Kevin Costner.
You can.
The best character off draft day.
Oh my God.
Or the worst character off draft day. Or the best movie about a draft. Was it that or was it Jerry Maguire?
This is Kush.
Oh yeah. I like that one. I already know which I'm going with because people know I don't like
No problem.
Just sniff if Jerry's in the room.
Iowa JD tweets at us,
Maguire.
how is Pro Football Network not respecting Bryce Benhart? Do they not see how he blocks on field goals? Rule said himself he's a first rounder. Boo this early projection. That's why we call him Iowa JD. Also, Brian Edwards to help you win money on the weekend. That's all still to come before we turn over to Connor at 10. 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
The Blue Jay Zone is brought to you by Barry Law. We're in it to win it. The best season in recent Creighton tennis history came to a close last week at the Big East Tournament. Both men's and women's teams made their first conference semis, with the women going all the way to the finals, where they lost to Xavier. Head coach Tom Lilly.
I've been doing this is my 26th year, so we've never had a season like this for either team, and have both teams having just so much success right now. It's maybe in another few weeks we'll be able to look back and this and say this is really a special season. And
winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The cigar enthusiasts at Hearth Cigars and Pipes are a pretty diverse bunch of humans. Some enjoy an adult beverage or two, others pass the time with a competitive yet friendly game of dominoes. Still others enjoy shooting some pool downstairs, while more than a few are just satisfied with each other's company. The common thread with all of them is the awesomeness that is their favorite cigar from the humidor. Hearth Cigars and Pipes, just off the 48th Street exit from I-680 at the corner of Mormon Bridge Road and McKinley, and at hearthcigars.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. It's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
There's nothing quite like listening to the Kansas City Royals. High ball to deep left. To the wall. Leap. On 1620 The Zone.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Heat and the Knicks from MSG. Charles Oakley will be back playing. Alonzo Mourning.
Cheap shots.
One of those teams are going to be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And that's what I thought about, too.
So we're going to have Denver and Phoenix are going to play, and that feels like a Western Conference Final, but they're playing around early.
Alex English, Walter Davis.
Boston and Philadelphia are more than likely going to play. At least we know one team for sure. That feels like the Eastern Conference Final, but yet it is playing around early.
A lot of nostalgia in this playoff. And then you get the Warriors and the Lakers. It can be a little tribute to the 70s, I suppose. I'm all in on Heat Knicks, and I got the Heat.
Oh, it's going to be good. I'm just perusing some of the someone put out some draft day memories, and I totally forgot about the bong mask. That broke just a half hour before the start of the draft, too. And then Russell Wilson's, at the time, was it his wife or fiance? The, oh gosh, I can't remember. But her facial expression when he got it, too. Memories tonight. Sorry, boys. I was talking to me.
No, it's okay. There's a lot. There's a lot on the plate today.
The excitement level of the Mannings when Eli was holding up a San Diego Chargers jersey, or lack thereof.
Bob Irsay questioning Mel Kiper's credibility.
And then there was Bill Belichick's table.
With his dog, who's got to crush the NFL draft. So the story about Eli Manning. So he went through all of the publicity as a Charger. Like they ran him through the car wash, ESPN radio. He did all the TV interviews. And then they ushered him aside and they changed and they gave him his Giants hat. And so he didn't do any interviews as a Giant at draft day, like at the place. He also, there are people that wanted his Charger hat. So, he had the awkward picture when he's in the Chargers gear, and then they show him with his Giants cap, and he's like, all got excited. When he was ushered away, and the NFL had to make the quick switch. Somebody immediately offered money for his Chargers cap.
Oh.
And the NFL said no, took it, and never to be seen again. And
Oh.
of course, Eli was a Giant for life.
That'd be a keepsake, too. That definitely would have been.
Good on that first person. They were thinking.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need more. We need more quarterbacks that get drafted that hold out and they force a trade on trade day.
Yes.
We need the John Elways. We need the Eli Mannings.
Just that and the awkwardness too when you're actually posing up there with Roger Goodell and you're supposed to put on a face that you're really excited and you're like in
I
the
don't
back of
care
your head
if
you're
it's
like
70 every day.
There's things that are working behind the scenes that are probably going to make this picture more important for the wrong reasons.
Will Jalen Carter hug the commissioner tonight?
I think so.
Seattle's going to sit at 5, and Jalen Carter, despite off-field concerns, still the best player in the draft. Perfect in the middle of the Seahawks defense. He's going to fall to him at 5. That's who I think they'll take. But it could be Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech could still be available. And then, Will Anderson, of course. But will Jalen Carter hug the commissioner? Or will the commissioner embrace him? One thing we don't have to worry about, and we haven't had to worry about for a while, is Dion being on stage interviewing players.
That's true.
And honestly, not knowing everybody's name.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's much like what's going on now.
And see, we took the NFL route with the Dion conversation. That's true. That is very true that you
Son,
forget
we're gonna
about
have to cut you.
the draft coverage involving Deion Sanders.
Coach, I don't play here.
But he'll come up. He will come up in this draft. I bet he
will.
comes up on national TV today.
Do you think somebody has like a interview with him or something?
I bet Rich Eisen will say, and of course it's a little different without our good friend Dion, who's out of Colorado.
They don't have Michael Irvin.
That is true as well. A little different there. We're going to have a little different dynamic. But yeah, he'll be mentioned probably within the first hour.
Is David Shaw on TV tonight? I like David Shaw on NFL Draft Night.
I think he's on NFL Network.
I don't know, but I hope he is.
If not, that's a swing and miss because he is damn good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought when he first started doing that and the way he was able to break down film. And he talked about players that just weren't Pac-12 guys. I thought there's a guy that has the perfect makings. He's going to be in the NFL sooner than later. And now he's out of a job.
Yeah.
Is he done? Like, did he indicate that he's good? Because his name didn't come up anywhere after he left Stanford.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever indicated that he's done or he's
I just think it's somewhat
coaching.
indicated he's taking some time, and if the right situation came up, I think that's the case. But yeah, in broadcasting, hell, that might be a good calling right there.
Every time David Shaw's name's brought up, I was fooled. I thought that's who Sean Eichhorst was meeting with after Bo, but
there were people that last September were pushing for Trev and David Shaw to get together.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, Stanford had step back. But there were people that were trying to get in the ear of Trev that were big supporters of David Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one more hour to go. It'll include Ask Us Anything and also Brian Edwards as the NFL Draft is tonight, beginning at 7. You can hear it right here on 1620 The Zone from Kansas City Union Station. The setup looks incredible. Largest stage they've ever had for this. This thing, we thought they'd get to Vegas last year and it would like blow everything out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep upping the ante.
Yeah.
It is amazing how this part of the NFL arm has grown. It is a year-round thing now.
Since they went to primetime.
And people that primetime and more exposure, and they talk about it year-round.
Yep. Oh, yeah. The conversation, the build-up to it, but I remember at first when they did decide to take this away from the weekend and go Thursday night for just the first round, and I'm like, God, that's a lot to put into one round. Boy, was I wrong. It's amazing. Then you get the 2 rounds, the second and third on Friday night. So having that primetime audience, and then Saturday, you still get a lot of people pay attention. Like it's awesome.
To be honest, I'm surprised there is one NBA game tonight because everyone's starting to kind of back away from that Thursday. I mean, there's still hockey tonight, but I mean, it's such big business. And in Kansas City, this is almost up there with when they got the World Cup announcement. This has been such a big deal since it was announced. So I think it's going to be one of the city's finest hours.
So are you going at all this weekend? I know you're going to go tonight.
I am this weekend.
Okay. I was wondering if you're going to make it out there tomorrow night.
One more hour to go. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a delay from 183rd to 175th on Center. On Dodge, be prepared for minor slowdowns from 94th to 75th, and along Highway 370, be prepared for some pretty significant delays from Richland Drive to 90th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Les Hills Harley Davidson.
Come see the toy box at Les Hills Harley Davidson, overflowing with pre-owned bikes, just waiting for you to saddle up and ride back home. Les Hills Harley Davidson, I-29 and Highway 34 south of Council Bluffs. Rise up and ride on.
It's time to wake up your taste buds. Introducing my new Fiesta Line Chicken Pizza. Spicy taco sauce, generous amounts of chicken, green peppers, onions, jalapenos, mounds of cheddar and mozzarella cheese, and finished with a tangy lime sprinkle. Add your favorite one-topping pizza and my sweet cinnamon monkey bread. Fiesta Feast. Now that's a fiesta for your mouth. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. The spring has arrived, which means you got good weather and you have some of that typical Nebraska spring weather. So if it's raining outside, no problem at all. The Top Tracer building is there to keep you covered and comfortable. You can play virtual courses from all around the world. And when the weather is great, well, of course, you can golf a full 18 or a quick 9 after work. 402-498-0220, Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
Can I take your order?
Can I get a small chicken sandwich meal?
Sorry, we only sell jumbo meals. Same size for everyone.
Sometimes one size fits all isn't right for you. Same goes for your mobile plan. At Cox Mobile, get what you actually need and start saving with the right data plan. If your needs change, switch between plans at any time. Now that's something different.
Thanks. I think I'll go get something different.
Cox Mobile. We're different because you're different. Visit cox.com/mobile to learn more. Postpaid Cox internet required. Other restrictions apply.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Well, I thought we'd have the NFL draft music when a pick is in.
I had my
NFL
Celtics
draft
Sixers
day.
love. We'll get the draft going here. There's just so much on the sports plate today.
The NFL draft is front and
jangle.
center.
Yep.
People hear that and they immediately know the pick is in.
Huh? That's true. I will storm in from the other room when I hear that.
Yep.
It's like Pavlov's dog.
So you were saying earlier your favorite memories of the NFL draft.
Well, there's some good ones.
Well, so the Mel Kiper, the crazy feud with Bill Tobin, that changed the TV draft forever. So in '94, the whole Trent Dilfer, passing on Trent Dilfer to the dismay of Mel Kiper Jr., and he went off, and it gives you the line, who in the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
Right.
Some people are still struggling with that answer in 2023. But Jim Harbaugh ended up being a better quarterback than Trent Dilfer. But that whole exchange really changed how it was covered on TV, because people ESPN was the only place where you could get it. But then shortly thereafter, in the mid-'90s, it expanded. Now, ironically, do you remember who the Colts actually took with that draft pick?
That was 94.
I forgot it was Bill Polian. That makes sense. I mean, he knew his stuff.
Gosh, it wouldn't be. No, I don't remember.
So the team went on to make the playoffs that year. That pick that the Colts had was Trev Alberts.
I was wondering.
Oh, that's 94. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So Mel Kiper, who the hell
Tying
is
it back
who the
together.
hell is Mel Kiper?
Yep.
Remember, he also said that Jamarcus Russell would be the next John Elway.
Yep. Oops.
He said Mike Williams from USC would be a Hall of Famer. Like in the cold takes, Mel Kiper is has a wing.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Pino Cook. He never said Ron Paulus would win 3 Heisman trophies, though.
You're talking about this, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Immediately run in from the other room. Oh,
did I tell you the story when that sounded when we were? This was when Reese was born. He was born in October, so it would have been the following April draft. It was the year that the Bears got Justin Fields. We were in the middle of changing him. That comes up. The Bears are going to make the pick. I got a butt-naked baby in my hands as I'm waiting. And
here's a wipey.
They took, you hear that, and then they take a while to actually get to the pick. So the pick is in. But then you got to wait till them make the official pick. And I knew both Mac Jones and Justin Fields were available. They moved up. And I kept thinking to myself, they're going to take Mac Jones. That's just a Bears thing. They're going to take Mac Jones. And when they said Justin Fields, I was like, I wasn't throwing Reese up in the air, but I was like, full naked baby, just propping him up in the air like a Simba, thinking, oh my God, they finally drafted a quarterback. It makes sense. And again, it might not work out. I mean, there's already some doubters on Justin Fields.
Did
but
he pee on you?
I'm lucky he didn't, but yeah, I really didn't care at that moment. I was elated.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say at hospitals when a baby is born, that plays like, oh, baby was just born. All right.
They do. So they play at Women's Hospital where my wife delivered Reese. They play like a little lullaby every time a baby is delivered. You hear it through the intercom system.
See, I like the draft chime better.
But that is a great idea. I love that. Especially if you're, maybe someone that is in a position where you're going to be drafted, but your wife, life partner, girlfriend, whoever is expecting. Instead of playing that, they play the draft jingle. I love it. So those are my own personal. That's a draft memory of the Justin Fields. Then I went outside and I put the flag up, put the Bears flag up.
So what does this have to do with who the hell is Mel Kiper?
I know. Yeah.
So his list, and hey, give credit. Mel Kiper Jr., he's a quirky guy, lives in Baltimore. He doesn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
His wife is his agent. He does this radio show on ESPN, but year round he does the draft, and they kind of balance Todd McShay, adding him. So it's not just one-sided Mel Kiper, but he has been a fixture on the NFL draft stage on ESPN. And just like Joe Lunardi with bracketology, Mel Kiper has turned into being just an NFL draft guy to a year-round thing. Another one of his misses. So this one, I remember when they got to the end of the coverage in 2012, he was giving out grades, which, come on. Recruiting classes that get grades the next day or NFL draft classes.
I agree.
What are we doing?
I hate it.
So in 2012, everybody thinks he hates the Colts. He hates the Seahawks as well because he said their draft class was an F. That turned out to be a pretty good top 3 guys.
Mm-hmm. You had, let's see, the top 3 that draft class. So that was the year Russ was drafted.
Yep. So Russell Wilson was the 75th overall pick.
Right. Was Cam Chancellor? Was that the first?
But they went defense.
Wasn't Sherman, was it?
So Bruce Irvin was their first-round pick.
Okay.
And then Bobby Wagner went with the 47th overall pick. And then Russell Wilson. Immediately after that, he gave their draft class an F. Not like a D minus or a D plus. Yeah. He gave them an F. Yeah, they brought a parade to Seattle.
Just a year later, 13.
That's what I hate about
and Bobby Wagner is back in Seattle.
Yeah.
The grades I hate because
one of the greats to ever play for the Seahawks. But yeah, F.
if you want to go as low as like a C- because maybe a team failed to address some glaring needs, okay. But how the hell do you know that it's going to be even a D or an F until a season plays out? Like that's why I don't even like the grading system, period. Like if you have any type of criticism toward the draft class, I think it's fair to ask like, well, you guys needed like offensive line help and you didn't really address that. So what's the deal there? That's fair. But as far as saying, well, that's an F, I don't care.
A little thought project for you boys today while you lead up to the draft. Bill Polian, I think I said Bill Tobin earlier. I got that name in my head.
You said Polian first, though.
Bill
then you said
Polian.
Tobin.
Yeah. Bill Polian against Mel Kiper. Had there been Twitter in 1994?
That's what I thought when you said that. Yeah. I remember watching it. You talk about draft memories. That's one of those I was like, whoa, I don't think this is planned. This is like legitimate.
Yeah, that's where you hope maybe a new rivalry will be sparked.
And then wasn't it I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they were sitting next to each other analyzing the draft?
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
Why?
They come together for the greater good of the draft and player evaluations.
Who the hell is Mel Kiper? 30 years old.
He can flex now.
Ask Us Anything is coming up next. Brian Edwards will stop by. His thoughts on the NBA game. His Hawks are still alive, thanks to Trae Young. He's got that's his game of the day. That and much more to come. Plus, we will get to the high volume traffic yesterday that knocked some people out of getting Nebraska volleyball tickets. A lot of people on that Wednesday night in late August in Memorial Stadium. Went from a dream to reality that 90,000 people could watch volleyball in Nebraska, where there is no place like Nebraska when it comes to that sport. Amazing.
Just need sunny skies. Sunny skies.
Yeah, because it's going to be tough to put 90,000 in the Devaney Center.
Right.
Hey, it's raining. We got to move.
We're going to have you guys can go to Devaney, then we'll have a satellite location at PBA, and you can watch it inside there. We'll have it on the video board, and you can watch it.
I wonder if the tickets will say anything about money back if weather impacts.
Remember
they
old?
Have to go to an indoor venue.
Remember when you used to get the old? I remember getting the old Omaha Royals tickets and have the rain check on it on the back. You just hold on to that, get a rain check. Maybe get a rain check option for this one. They'll try to do it as soon as the weather.
Yeah, see, I think you'd have to refund their money because I don't think you could give them a rain check.
No,
because there's no room in the Devaney Center during the season. I mean, it's not. It's like they have an abundance of inventory, and then it's like, hey, pick a game.
Right.
You got no shot. The thing is sold out.
Here's a T-shirt and your money back.
Plus, I think they only do this once. I think you can only do this once. You can only do the volleyball in the Memorial Stadium one time.
I don't want to bring it up, but I will because it's fun. The last outdoor venue, non-traditional sport that Trevor was a part of, it happened. There were just some things that went wrong. But it did happen.
Yeah, like not accounting for an outdoor hockey game where the sun might be out. Or puncturing a pipe. What a nightmare of a night. Ask Us Anything's coming up next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone. And 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
They've signed 65 3-stars.
Alabama.
Nebraska has signed 67 4-stars. So they have signed perceived lesser players, 65 of them versus 67. Nebraska, with the better groceries, has had 3 of those players drafted. Alabama has had 13. So they have developed the worst players. Then Nebraska has developed the better players. It's wild.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another nice spring day ahead for Thursday. Expect sunshine in the morning with increasing clouds through the afternoon. A bit breezy at times as well, with south winds gusting around 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Do you know the common signs of transmission trouble?
Your engine revs before falling into gear. Shifting is rough, or you're leaking reddish-brown fluid.
Knowing the signs could mean repair instead of replace.
That's where we come in. We're certified transmission.
The job done right at the right price.
Creighton baseball is back on the radio this season. Check out the control of broadcast games on 1620thezone.com and gocreighton.com. Baseball on the radio. The Creighton Blue Jays on 1180 The Zone and 1620 The Zone.
If you haven't updated your windows, you could be throwing money out the window. Don't let the cool air out. Upgrade today with J-Tech Construction. For a limited time, get 60 months with 0% interest. Plus, as an added bonus, every window gets a special rated UV upgrade for free. Save money, keep the cool air in, and be happier when you upgrade your windows with the official exterior experts of Nebraska Athletics. For more info, go to yourexteriorexperts.com. Subject to credit approval.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
You can buy farm fresh food from more than 70 local farmers under one roof at Ellsworth Crossing in Waterloo. All Ellsworth Crossing products are ethically raised, clean, and keto-friendly with many health benefits. Free-range chickens and eggs, pork, beef, bison, elk, lamb, and more. Fresh produce, milk, and dairy, including ice cream and cheese. On Saturday, there's a Meet Your Farmer event with free Wagyu samples, including steak, summer sausage, and jerky. Ellsworth Crossing, 26902 West Center Road in Waterloo, and ellsworthcrossing.com. Ellsworth Crossing, a farm-to-fork market.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Some sad news in the entertainment world. Former Cincinnati mayor Jerry Springer has passed away at the age of 79. According to a statement from his family, the legendary talk show host, I think you could say he's legendary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime people are chanting Jerry, Jerry, Jerry in the middle of a fight.
Before they chanted World Star, when
Did you
there'd
guys
be a
ever-
fight, they would chant Jerry.
Did you guys ever go to a tavern or bar, in the last couple of years, and a fight or a little scuffle breaks out and people start chanting Jerry? I mean, come on. It was must-see TV.
He was a big part of being homesick from school. You had your starter pack. You had saltine crackers, your 7-Up, Bob Barker, and then Jerry Springer.
Isn't he still on the air?
See,
I
that
think
I did,
so.
That I didn't know. I thought it was. I didn't think he was, but it was recent. But maybe he was. So did you said the family had announced it? Was he? Had he been ill for a while?
I have no idea.
Huh.
So just came down.
Mm-hmm.
But he also, so all of those shows, which, they hit you a little bit different depending on what part of the country you're watching them in, because they may hit too close to home. Like I have a rule: I don't watch Jerry Springer. I don't watch Cops because I might see somebody on there that I know or related to.
Florida too.
You know what might
I had a
be?
friend from Pensacola said that.
You know what might be one of the biggest things to spin off from Jerry Springer? Do you know the story of Steve Wilkos?
Mm-mm.
So he was his bodyguard.
Oh yeah, Steve. Yeah,
Steve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He went. So he used to be a beat cop on the Chicago PD.
Okay.
And then he went to kind of running the security for the Jerry Springer show and became super famous.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy that was always breaking up the
Get in the middle of it.
the two dudes that had slept with the same girl at the same time, and
It happened to be related to them. They just found out.
And whether
you
it was
know,
male or
one-
female,
Yeah, one storyline after another.
it didn't matter.
And then he has got his own show, and it's extremely popular. Like he might be the most popular number 2 man in television behind Steve Harvey.
Yeah, see, I knew
That's
he had
what
a
he's
show.
become.
I didn't know if it was still going. I didn't know if that's interesting to hear about the popularity, because I knew he had a show a while back, and I did not. If you would have told me that, oh yeah, that has been on for years, I would have believed you. Yeah.
All right, time for Ask Us Anything. We do this every Thursday. Boy, there are people now just realizing how bat blank crazy the Jerry Springer show was. I already knew, but people are finding clips that just you had no idea that existed out there.
Yeah.
But Jerry Springer's passed away at the age of 79. All right, Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Oscar's Pizza and Grill. Your chance to win a gift card. Every Thursday we do this, and it's a good gift card to a great place. The dine-in option and the whole atmosphere, 173rd and Center, or you want to get it on the go, 162nd and Maple is takeout only. You ask us a question, we try and answer it, and the question that puzzles us or makes us laugh or is the most obscure, you have a chance to win when Jimmy calls you up from 951-1620 and says, winna chicken dinner.
I want to give a shout out real quick to Jeff, who called in to say that it was not on the air, but on reruns. And then there was Judge Jerry that had come on.
There was Judge Jerry.
Yeah. That's more recent.
See, I can't keep up with those. There's going to be like a Judge Gary here soon. Like everybody has a judge show. I
just got the text from my wife that Jerry Springer died. See, I mean, he had a huge impact on pop culture. Like,
He's America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
He was a judge.
Really?
He was on there. Yeah, I got to start in politics. He was the mayor of Cincinnati.
Very few people know that, by the way.
The Reds were good when he was mayor.
Yeah, and I guess prostitution in Cincinnati was good when he was on the city council.
Yeah. So business was booming.
Yes.
He was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago.
Okay.
Okay, so
that's sad.
All right. Well, let's transition. Okay, this is from Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey,
Thank
Brian.
you. Now that the NHL playoffs have started, if the NHL reinstituted the 50-mile rule, how different would the playoffs be? And would we finally be able to get the cities that shouldn't have a hockey team, i.e. Vegas, Tampa Bay, Phoenix, etc., out of the playoffs? Would a Canadian team finally win the cup again?
Wait, so are they? Is Brian against teams like Vegas?
That's what I take from it.
Oh, come on. Where's the fun in that?
Hey, Tampa's proved their worth, and then what they did with the Frozen Four. So,
well, Tampa's been sold out for well over 300 straight games.
Yeah.
Would that mean you wouldn't want to have one in Nashville too?
Nashville's got a great fan base.
Yeah, they do.
Apparently,
They sure
Atlanta's trying to get another NHL team.
No.
Hockey can work in Atlanta with an ownership group that knows how to run a hockey franchise.
Yep. Would it lead to a Canadian team winning? Well, I mean, process of elimination, sure. I mean, I guess if you're eliminating some of the markets out of there, then sure, yeah, there's lesser competition. But I'm not for that. I like the game going into non-traditional markets, especially as we just mentioned a couple right there that have embraced it. I think it's great for the game. I think it's great for the popularity of the game, even if it's not doing crazy numbers TV wise. I think what you see from those fan bases, especially knowing that, oh my gosh, we got hockey here, they get
Except
into
some
it.
in Phoenix don't even know they have hockey.
Yeah, that's a good example of one. It's like, okay,
That's also been an example of poorly run
It's just
organization.
bad ownership.
So they haven't won. They have not given you even the illusion that they want to win with hockey in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
They also have bounced around. They used to share the arena with the Suns, and it was just they had obstructed seats for hockey. Then they got the place out in Glendale. Then they got booted out of there. I mean, they were an embarrassment this year playing in Arizona State's new arena because guys had to dress outside the arena.
Right.
And then come in, and then you're playing an NHL game that actually counts before 5,000 people.
Yeah.
That was if you saw any of the games, it was a wild atmosphere.
Yeah.
But it looked like you were playing, an exhibition at a college hockey arena.
Right. It looked like you were playing in like the first round of the regionals of the NCAA hockey tournament. Some of those venues are bigger.
But if you have good, it doesn't matter. If you have good ownership in non-traditional places, it'll work.
Yes.
Again,
that's true.
Hockey is huge in Tampa. I mean, the Lightning are monstrous there. It's worked in Dallas.
Yeah. People question that
Better
back then.
better ownership. It probably is going to work in Arizona.
Yep.
It worked. It worked for a while in San Jose.
Nashville's been great.
Nashville's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a better story when Canadian teams continue the streak of not winning.
Yeah.
It's like the Maple Leafs thing.
It's their sport.
It's full meltdown.
Although that
And we don't want people from different provinces fighting. I mean, I don't want the people from Alberta being upset at the people from Manitoba, or the people from Manitoba being upset at the people from Ontario. Okay,
people angry in Regina and Saskatoon because they don't have an
Saskatoon.
NHL team there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want Alberta, decide that they're coming to the U.S. and they don't want anything to do with the rest of Canada after the Flames and the Oilers get screwed.
Those people in London, Ontario, man, they get fired up too. So,
all right, next question from Derek in Omaha. Will 2023-24 finally be the year for Nebraska men's sports, football, and basketball getting a bowl game and Nebraska ball getting an NCAA tournament win? Kent Pavelka needs to call a Nebraska ball tournament win, GBR. Lots of exclamation points.
Did he say anything about baseball? Does baseball
He did not mention baseball.
Like, do we at least need a
But you
regional?
could throw it in there. I mean,
a regional or something?
Well, I think if you don't make the NCAA tournament this year, there's going to be a lot of pressure. Like next year, 2 of the 3 coaches could be make it or break it mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope Rule wins the first game because just kidding. But baseball, if you don't make the NCAA this year, there will be a ratcheted response to, you got to make the postseason.
Yep.
Because now you're in that window of every 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The Nebraska should be in the NCAA tournament every year, at least having hope, but being in it actually. And then, I don't know, what did we decide when we had Kyle Peterson on? Every 5-6 years, you maybe are making a good solid run in that window of hosting.
Yes. And trying to stay top 3 consistently in the Big Ten alone. But will 2023-24 be the year? I think Nebraska gets to a bowl game.
Agreed.
It's really hard to answer Nebraska basketball right now.
Now, I don't think they have to win a game. Like under Hoiberg, if they just get to the tournament next year.
Yeah, right.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have a winning record in the Big Ten. That would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's success. But I've said they got to be in contention for the NCAA tournament, and you can't run away from that.
Yep.
But I don't know. They didn't have a plan after Salas said no yesterday, so I don't know where they're going with that position.
That is so hard to answer.
Hey, we provided an option. Experience. Played college basketball for a long time. We're here to help. And I think the last part, he's just more personal. He wants Kent to call a win, so we'll just take.
Oh yeah, I mean that'd be great, but yeah, I mean that's
Kent would retire if Nebraska basketball went to the NCAA tournament and they won. Kent would retire.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I'd almost expect it. I feel like that's
you could walk away.
That's what he's holding out for. Not saying he should, but I'm just saying that's what I think that
headset
that
drop.
would be that would be the
Wait, we
song.
still got post.
Where
are you going?
Jake, you talk to Fred.
Kent, you still got to do the game.
I'm good.
Not just because you showed up here.
Yeah.
We have another game.
We still got a round of 32 game. That's fine. Jake, you got it.
All right, last question.
This is from Jerry. A little layered, a little deep. Good morning, Jerry. Thank you. First of all, let me preface this by saying that I am not insinuating that what happened should not have happened. I absolutely believe that it should have happened, which is why I find it so fascinating. That's the preface. That's a lot.
What are you getting at, Jay?
Anyway, he says, here's the question.
Okay.
You can pick any sport at any level. Doesn't matter. Who is the coach who was fired from their job, who is most likely to be the next one who is brought back to be honored and have a facility named after them?
Oh, a facility named after him?
That got fired?
Yeah.
In any sport?
Any sport. Mike Budenholzer Avenue? I know, it's...
That is a really good question. See, and I'm trying to get away from the teams I root for because as I'm looking at those teams,
but you can start there and just move.
Yeah, like because the guys I'm thinking of right now still have jobs, but like if Terry Francona ever got fired, I could see like the clubhouse being named after him because Terry's he's a player's guy. Keeps it loose in the locker room. Likes to play a lot of cribbage in there. Likes to gamble a lot. Gosh, I'm just trying to think of like coaches that got fired, but had been there for a while and accomplished a lot. That they would always be revered, even if they kind of fell victim to a parting of ways. This is tough. There's got to be some obvious ones out there too. I'm just not thinking of.
Oh, we're just talking about Nebraska basketball. I would say do something for Danny Nee.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
College football, Mark Richt at Georgia.
Well, there you go. That's a good one.
I think he still lives in Athens, or at least he kept his home in Athens. And he still is welcome around the Georgia football program. But for a guy that was fairly successful, he got fired.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, you're not having like the Jack Dom Memorial Locker Room.
No. Nope. Maybe Iowa will. I don't know. Did it somehow go worse at Iowa than it did at Creighton? Well, he was actually, his early days at Creighton was not too shabby. God, that is a good question. Well, I'm gonna have to marinate on that one though. There's got to be a couple that before we get out of here.
At Kansas, Ted Owens is pretty revered. So
yeah, because
I like the Danny Nee one. That's
that one's I think pretty solid.
Doc Sadler will have something. Doc Sadler will have like a parking spot outside of. It would just have the sign that this is the Doc Sadler parking spot. Only conversion RVs are allowed. Brian Edwards coming to finish off the Thursday show. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
It's time to wake up your taste buds. Introducing my new Fiesta Line Chicken Pizza. Spicy taco sauce, generous amounts of chicken, green peppers, onions, jalapenos, mounds of cheddar and mozzarella cheese, and finished with a tangy lime sprinkle. Add your favorite one-topping pizza and my sweet cinnamon monkey bread. Fiesta Feast. Now that's a fiesta for your mouth. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
It's good to be able to make a change, to never feel stuck. That's why at Cox, we're making a change too. Now Cox Internet plans are flexible, so you can choose to just go with Internet, add TV tomorrow, or home automation down the line. It's easier than ever to get just what you want and nothing you don't. Flexible plans from Cox. Change anytime. No commitments, no penalties. See for yourself at cox.com/internet. Additional services can be added at then current regular rates. All services subject to residential customer service agreement and acceptable use policy. Restrictions apply.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the CUES Fund Board, which supports the CUES school system. To learn more, go to CUES Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
There's another part of the cottage industry that has become the NFL draft. Now with gambling more prevalent across the country. All of the NFL draft props, as Brian Edwards, the senior handicapper for Vegas Insider, joins us now. You know this for a while. All of the things, it's nearly everything you can bet on surrounding the NFL draft. It is amazing how the draft blew up with its importance and the viewership to now how it is blown up to take care of us gamblers over the next couple of days.
It sure is. Good morning, y'all. And what also is wild about it is just the little tidbits of information, not necessarily today, but in the weeks leading up to it, that shift the odds so radically. I mean, the Levis stuff a couple days back, and I know that Anthony Richardson got mocked to go number one like 2 months ago, and he was at 100-1 odds, and like within 48 hours he was down to like 5-1 odds. So, and even just I took Anthony Richardson to go under 4.5 earlier in the week at plus 230, and then I saw it a couple of days, or no, I'm sorry, like 24 hours later, it was down to plus 180, and then I looked again at 24 hours after that, and it was back up to like plus 280. So these odds just radically shift constantly. It's not like you can like see a number and like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get that in a day or two. I mean, you better lock it in when you see it.
Yeah, the Bijan Robinson is another guy on an NFL draft prop that is all over the map on when he's going to go top 10. Is he going to go by 20? I mean, just like Richardson's numbers and plus and minus, money is going up and down. The same thing with Robinson is happening.
Yeah, and a lot of guys. And there's some smoke that the Falcons might want him at 8, but I would trade down and try to get him later. I hope my Falcons trade down unless Jalen Carter or Will Anderson or even Stroud mysteriously fall that to number 8. We shall see. All I've got right now, we talked about last week, I got Richardson at plus 200 matched up with Levis. And then I've got Richardson under 4.5 at plus. Well, I got him at a couple different prices, but plus 230 for the most.
Hey, real quickly, I know this isn't on anything that you're actually playing, but as far as you mentioned the Will Levis part, and that was a couple days ago where all of a sudden the odds like shifted dramatically. And this was off of like some type of anonymous post. Like how much of that information is like, okay, worth keeping an eye on? And then, you know, the ability to just say, okay, just kind of dismiss it because this is what happens as we get closer to the draft.
Well, that Reddit post I completely dismissed. I mean, I don't think Levis. He might go in the top 3 or 4, but I love his athleticism. He throws a great ball. He did not have elite wide receivers at Kentucky, but he still made a lot of mistakes. His decision making is a little iffy at times. So we'll see.
Brian Edwards joining us. All right. Trey Young kept you engaged for another night with the Hawks. By the way, you said this because of your kind of indirect connection. I agree with you. I think Quinn Snyder, in what he likes to do, is the perfect coach for Trey Young. The more I watch this series, I just think if those two together for a full season, I mean, you can't lose Trey Young, but I think under Quinn Snyder, he's going to thrive.
Yeah, I agree. Regardless of what happens tonight, and Atlanta, probably loses tonight, but maybe not. We'll see. It's just great that there is some positive momentum because there's been such negative publicity, especially national NBA insiders. I'm glad that we had the other night, and just a little, and Trey's played good in this series, and just a little bit of positive vibes going into the off season. But hopefully the off season doesn't get started tonight. We'll see.
All right, so you like the over, and there's a trend there on the over for Boston, Atlanta, especially with the Hawks.
Yeah, so first off, the last 3 games have gone over, and games 3 and 4 in Atlanta had 252 and 250 combined points. And so I was looking back just specifically Atlanta's home games recently, and there were quite a few unders, but they were in the late regular season when the totals are in the mid 240s. Some 1 or 2 were in the high 240s. So I just started counting up the combined scores, and Atlanta's last 16 home games have had at least 235 combined points, 16 in a row. And we're looking at a total of 232. Looks like it's nudged up to 232.5 at some spots, even 233 at Caesars. But I like the over a lot. And I'm also going to go with Boston's team total in the first half, which I got at 60.5 last night, but it may be 61.5 at a lot of books now. So in game one, the Celtics had 74 at halftime. Game two was their lowest scoring output by halftime. It was 61. Game three, they had 67. And in the last two games, they've had 65 and 66, respectively. So those are my two plays. I'm not against Boston in the first half, which, let's see, 3.5 at most spots.
All right, so game 6, and we know the history with LeBron James. Anytime he is up in a series 3-1, they don't lose. Game 6 in L.A. With the Grizz after getting last night's victory, which way you going with this one?
I kind of just like this young, youthful, energetic squad. It's been a long series, tough series. Lakers looked a little fatigued last night. I mean, I'm sure LeBron will find it in the second win, but I just think Memphis is fresher. I love how Ja and Bane, especially Bane and Jared Jackson are playing. Excuse me. So I've got Memphis plus 4.5 and threw a little bit of small change on plus 170 money. Excuse me, guys. Money line. I think Memphis will be back home for Game 7. I think they went outright.
Ooh, well, LeBron definitely looked 38 years old last night, and I don't think Darvin Ham did a great job when they had opportunities to get back into that game. All right, the final one. So last night, it may have taken, what was this, regular season playoffs, about 87 games for the Warriors to look like the Warriors and the way that they played last night and winning by 7 at Sacramento. So they come home with a chance to close it out, and the line is already Golden State's a 7-point favorite. Where are you leaning in a potential closeout game in San Francisco?
I'm leaning over 235 and Sacramento plus the points. DraftKings is up to 7.5. I haven't played anything on it yet. I'm just gonna watch the line and hopefully maybe they'll grow to 8. I'm thinking the over is kind of what I prefer. We know we're going to get the pace, so we're going to get the shot making. I suspect we will. And New York is 4 or 4.5 on Sunday. Man, it's tough to go against Miami or New York right now. Jimmy Butler's playing like the man, obviously. And, Miami and Milwaukee had all overs, and New York and the Cavs had all unders. But 205.5 is looking a little. And how about that under? I had the under on the Knicks last night. So lucky.
Nicely done. Hey, you can thank Cleveland, who I don't know that they wanted to be there last night. That was wild that they, at home, they were so bad in this series. Hey, one quick question. It's not, and this is I'm just going to throw this at you because there's been a lot of talk about Colorado this week. So on FanDuel, for example, and other places like Vegas Insider, the regular season win total for CU is 3.5. Now you don't know what the roster is going to look like. Do you think that Colorado's win total will be adjusted accordingly, or do you think it'll stay at 3.5, whoever they bring in over the next week or so?
Well, and I'm looking at it now. Yeah, that's news to me. It's been 4.5 for a long time. I guess they shifted to 3.5 with all these exits, and I don't understand why all these media people are acting like it's some huge bailout. This is exactly what Dion wants. He wanted all those guys to transfer, and he's confident he will replace them with better players. How long is this new portal window open till? Like May 13th, I think. So he's got two weeks to get busy on the trail. I'm pretty confident he'll do well. I'm not against going. I mean, their schedule's brutal, but I'm not against over 3.5 at minus 128. I would suspect when he reloads that. Yeah, I do think Gary will probably pop back up to 4.5. So we'll see who he has.
Yeah, football is the 30th. Basketball is May 13th, which is still a long way away.
Oh wait, we've only got 3 days to add transfer.
Yep. But
buddy.
But he said he's got a list.
Oh, wow. Well, what are my Gators doing? We only got 3 days.
They're just lying in the weeds. They're ready to strike on the 11th hour. It's okay.
I've never wanted my Gators to tank, but I just need to go 3-9 and clear the building of everybody.
Wow. You do realize that if the Gators tank, they can't get Caleb Williams, right?
Right? I do, but we can clear the building. And that's kind of what I want.
Hey, B, have a great weekend. I appreciate it. Good luck to your Hawks.
All right, fellas. Y'all as well.
That's Brian Edwards joins us every Thursday, Vegas Insider. Vegas B. Edwards. Our good friend, Caleb Henry down at KLIN, is reporting that at some point today, Nebraska Athletics will announce they've sold 80,000 tickets.
That's incredible.
For Volleyball Day in Nebraska on August 30th. So yesterday when they opened up to the public, now they were overwhelmed. We always say, hey, you should have expected this kind of response. I don't think they expected to sell out in less than 2 days.
Right.
So the system was overwhelmed a little bit. I'm sure they got hit by bots. So the third party is pretty robust. I mentioned it yesterday. There's already on StubHub, there were tickets for like $450. So 80,000. This is from Caleb. If that's the case, it would be top 2 all-time attendance for any women's sporting event in the world.
Wow. The
The highest is the famous USA-China in the World Cup at the Rose Bowl.
Brandy Chastain
in 99.
Okay.
90,185. That is the largest women's sporting event in the world.
Wow.
You might as well go for it.
Yeah, it's right there.
I mean, they're going to have to adjust where they probably put the court. I don't know what they're going to do with this concert. People aren't there for the concert. You know, you just say, hey, we're not having a concert because we need room, and so we move a stage.
Yeah, I doubt anyone's going to cry over that.
I'm with you. There's a demand. Expand it as much as you can.
Well, there's a challenge. There's going to be diehard volleyball fans.
Yep.
There's going to be people that are just Husker fans.
And then you're just going to have event fans.
They can't get into the Devaney Center.
Yep.
Then you're going to have volleyball fans, period. Now, remember, you got other schools that are involved.
Yep.
They're going to have a smattering of fans. And then I think you will just have people that, you know what, this is an event.
Yeah, you're going to have your event heads.
I was not a country fan. I went to Garth Brooks at Memorial Stadium because it was an event at Memorial Stadium. Not really volleyball. I don't understand it, but I am a Husker fan. But I got to be there because everybody's going to be there.
It's the place to be.
So 80,000. Wow. They might as well go for the record.
They should.
Do it.
So 86,174 were at a Australia-India Cricket World Cup in 2020.
Okay.
USA-Japan soccer in the Olympics in 2012 at Wembley was 80,203.
You got to at least exceed that. Come on. You're in the States. Oh, no, that was at Wembley?
Never
mind. Okay.
No, Brandy Chastain was the Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl one, okay.
Now, if they add some South Stadium seats, and remember, they're also going to sell on the field.
Right.
So those are today. I think they start selling to students or whatever. You could get 88,000. So that you maybe not be able to break the Rose Bowl record, but you should find a way to get to number 2. 88,000 for a volleyball match.
Do it.
And just imagine if the weather does not.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we get that second severe weather season.
Nope.
All right. Everybody enjoy the draft tonight. We'll analyze it tomorrow on the show.
Draft grades? On the first round?
They will be there.
They will?
They will be there. Everybody that does those, they've already got it in the queue of when Bryce Young is drafted, it's number 1 overall, what the draft grade is. If he was 2 inches taller. Can't look like. Wait for that tonight. All right. Good show, everybody. Thanks to Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, and everybody that participated in the Ask Us Anything crossovers coming up next.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio,